that I don't need nightmares anymore, I'll fathom out how to stop it. If God decides I need to wake up in the middle of the night in a sweat, fearful or afraid they're coming to get me, then that's God's plan for me, and that's what I'm going to deal with. I'm not a coward. I'm not afraid of any of these things. I'm not afraid of feeling bad. I'm not afraid of anxiety. I'm not afraid of panic. This is one of the things I think a lot of men out there struggle with is they're so worried and afraid of bad feelings. And to me, that's just showing that you've had an easy life. Like, there's real people out here who are trying to kill you. There's people out here who put a knife in your neck. You're scared of what? Feeling sad? Who cares? Like, there's real problems. What are you worried about feeling sad for? Who gives a shit? I could feel sad for the rest of my life, and I guarantee, one, nobody would know, and two, I would be monumentally successful regardless. So why are we even talking about it? I have no fear for a negative feeling. I have fear for me not being able to provide for my children. I have fear for people who rely on me not being provided for and cared for, but I don't have a single, I don't wake up and go, oh, really, I'm worried if I might feel sad today. Who cares? Who cares? I can be happy or sad on the same day. Nobody notices, and the same things get done. The exact same amount of work gets done. Nothing changes.
How are you making sense of what's happening to you? Is it God's will? Is it a co-creation? In some way, did you co-create this?
Oh, no.
Or are you just like a victim of the Matrix?
No, I'm not a victim. So, absolutely everything is, I believe, completely, but I believe in self-accountability.
Sure.
I could have prevented this.
Well, how did you co-create this? If let's presuppose you did.
I created this by being monumentally successful.
Right.
There's no light without dark. Equal and opposite force.
But you said you're excited about it, so maybe there's some way you actually wanted this.
I didn't want this. In fact, I had conversations with Tristan for a long time, and I kept saying Icarus to him. When I would decline certain podcasts, I would decline meeting certain famous people, I would decline talking about politics, I would decline things, and I would keep saying Icarus. And he would say, why are you doing this? And I just reply Icarus. Because I knew if I got too big, that they were going to come for me. I knew that. So I tried to balance it, and I felt like I did a pretty good job, but unfortunately I got it a little bit wrong. My fault. I got it wrong. I put myself here. But I also don't believe that there's any light without dark. It's yin and yang for a reason. I don't think that I can just become the most Googled man on the planet and become monumentally successful and make hundreds of millions of dollars and nothing bad is going to come from it. I think that would be hubris. You just used the word hubris, it's a fantastic word. I think it would be stupid for me to sit there and go, I should be able to do all of this good and have a fantastic life and there's going to be no repercussion in any form. I knew this was coming to the point where I literally sat with Tristan about 3 weeks before it happened and said, we're fucked.
So why did it happen?
It happened because I became monumentally successful and I became monumentally influential, and the world is about.
You did create it. In some way, you co-created it. Like you knew this was going to happen, and so there may be some way unconsciously you wanted it to happen. Like if you're on this hero's journey and you're living this big life and you have a big vision for yourself. I mean, you bring up guys like Genghis Khan, and I think that's kind of appropriate because in another era you probably would have been one of those cats, right? So now we're here. And maybe you need this in some way, need this test to really feel yourself, to know how strong you actually are. I mean,
I know what you're saying. I don't think I need the test. I do feel like I need to tell the truth. I do feel like the truth is, well,
the truth about the Matrix?
Yeah, what I believe, and I do believe that I have a responsibility because of my massive platform, and I do believe that the responsibility is for me to do my best to educate people in a way that's going to make them happy. And I know I could have sold my soul 1,000 times, and I know I could have avoided this, and I know I could have not said certain things, and I understand all of that. I wasn't looking for a war this large. I wouldn't say I was looking for it, but I wasn't ignorant to the fact that it might happen, and I wasn't afraid.
You didn't do anything to avoid it, though.
I did a lot to avoid it. Icarus. I must have said it 1,000 times. I could have made it much worse, but I was never afraid of it happening. I think there's a difference between knowing something bad might happen and taking the calculated risk and going, this is my journey for truth and this is what I believe is what I should do, and being afraid of something. Like, I understand if I go into the ring, I might lose. But I do believe 93% chance I'm going to destroy it.
Well, you want the fight, either way.
I guess so, because how else do you matter, right?
That's my point.
And I'm not saying that I'm glad I'm being persecuted for false human trafficking inside of Romania. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that...
Yet, on the other side of this, how strong will you be? Stronger than you could be otherwise, that's for sure, and have more power and influence otherwise.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's the Nelson Mandela.
Completely.
Now, so I wouldn't want to spend fucking whatever amount of time in jail. That sounds fucking scary, but it's not uncommon for heroes.
Well, exactly. And if you take the lessons from it, and if we want to once again talk about being as formidable as possible, then I don't think jail. Okay, it's giving you nightmares, but I don't think it's made you weaker.
No.
And it could have easily made me weaker. I could have gone through the exact same experience with a different mental model and emerged weaker. I believe I've emerged stronger, regardless of the fact that I have nightmares. I didn't have nightmares before, now I do, but I still see myself as a stronger person. That's one more thing I no longer have to fear from an unknown perspective. I know exactly what it's like. I know the best ways to deal with it, which I developed within the 3 months. And if they put me back, I know what I'm going into. So that's a unknown area of the map explored.
Yes.
And I don't want to go, but I do believe that I'm more powerful than ever. And you have to find the good in it. That's absolutely not me for sure. But I don't think I want to be very careful. I don't think I was looking for this fight. I'm finding the good in this fight. I believe that my fight actually has far-reaching repercussions for society now. I think that however this plays out is going to affect society in real time. I wasn't looking for it, but I was never.
Did you attract it in some way?
Well, if you are a force for good, then the evil is going to attack you, isn't it? And I do genuinely believe this is the battle of good versus evil in the world today. I believe that truth is always going to be on the side of good. I am religious. I believe the things I say most people knew were true only 10 to 15 years ago. I don't think they're radical ideas. And I think that there is an evil force in the world which is extremely deceptive. And they are out to try and silence me, not because what I say is wrong. It's in fact because what I say is right. I believe the reason I have so much influence and the reason so many young boys listen to me and pay attention to me is because I say things that are true, that they know intrinsically, evolutionarily, inside of their bones as true. That I say things which work. People often wonder why my fan base is so feverish, why my fan base is so dedicated. Well, if they listen to me, it's the first time they ever feel good. The first time they ever train hard and start to feel better physically, and they start to feel better mentally, and they adopt my mental model, and now they're not stressed or depressed anymore, and then they may start to make some money, and they go, you know what, I started listening to Tate a year ago. I'm in the best shape financially, the best shape physically, the best shape mentally. Tate's the man. So they're hyper dedicated to me, and yeah, I mean, there's going to be a negative to that. I want to make something clear. I've been brutally aware of the fact that all of this might blow up in my face for a very long time. I've not been ignorant to that, and I think that's why jail didn't cause me pain, because I wasn't in jail like, how did this happen? I was in jail thinking, they got me. I knew it. They've been after me for a long time. I knew they were coming. And I don't know if that's a coping mechanism, but I was saying on every single podcast before I went to jail, they were trying to put me in jail. I know it.
Right. You said there's a light in the dark. Is there darkness in you? I mean, there must be.
There's darkness inside of everybody.
Right. And do you know that part of you? Are you in a relationship with it? Do you think about it?
That's a good question. First, I have to identify what would the darkness in me be.
Well, let me present something to you, because I stood up for you after you got canceled off social media, and I have a lot of female clients, and they had questions about that. I mean, they know me and they trust me, so they're curious. But one of them said, well, you know, Andrew he's out there saying that he's helping all these young men, but in the beginning, he made his millions in some level exploiting these very men. That's the frame that they were thinking about it. And is there validity in that, in what they're saying? Because I didn't know how to answer that question.
I don't think I exploited the men. I think I exploited, maybe I did exploit the men, but let me change my answer. I don't think me not exploiting them would have prevented them being exploited. I think these men were out to be exploited regardless, whether I did it or not. So,
but you can see how that sounds cynical to somebody, where you say, well, they're going to be exploited anyway, so I'm going to make money off them. And then once I make money off them, I'm going to get this platform, then I'm going to champion them.
Completely. I mean, I guess that's probably one of the most logical arguments against me I've heard. Then we have to argue whether I was really exploited, which is another argument, right? Because a lot of these men, the only reason they didn't kill themselves is because they had an online girlfriend.
Sure.
So I actually think that webcamming and girls as a whole is closer to therapy than it is porn. Truly, these men are completely miserable. And the only joy they have is loneliness. So I don't think I did exploit them. The reason I said the fact about the fact they're going to be exploited anyway, it's very similar to having an alcohol store. Let's say there's 3 alcohol stores in a row and all of your customers are alcoholics. Well, if you close your alcohol store, what happens? They just buy the next store next door. There's still going to be an alcoholic. You're not saving anyone's life. But I don't think I necessarily exploited. I didn't see myself as exploiting them or exploiting the girls. I don't think that. I think it was a business opportunity, and I approached it the way I approach everything, which is extremely professionally, and I got good at it, and we had a very successful company. Everybody was happy, including the men at home and including the women who all became millionaires. I've turned more women into millionaires than I've turned men into millionaires. So,
But maybe that's the reason they're coming after you, because they feel in that a contradiction, and they're not buying your story. Right? They don't believe it. They're like, oh, this is an act. He's not genuine. He's actually out for himself. Right? And so that's the place that they want to get you. Because there's definitely an energy out there. They want to get you.
oh no, they're out to get me.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the reason why.
Well, depends who we're talking about. But we're talking about the Matrix. I understand why they're, and you've talked about that a lot in podcasts. We could talk about that, because you are speaking a lot of truth, and you're confronting all the lies in the culture, and you're speaking against the most powerful forces in the world. But individual women, let's say, they're going to look at what you're doing, a lot of them, and a lot of them, they're completely insane, and they're looking at these little clips, and they're distorted in their own feminism, and maybe unconsciously they can't reconcile to the fact that they would actually want a man like you. I think that's a lot of what's going on. It's like projection, And nevertheless, there is an energy that's like they want to get you. They want you to be punished in some way. And so, like, how do you, like, what do you do with that? How do you deal with that? Like, how do you answer to that? Like, if that woman was sitting here, what do you say to her?
Yeah, I would say that her argument to a degree is a logic fail. Let's take it away from webcamming.
It's a female. Logic.
Don't be a misogynist.
There's your blind spot right there.
Don't be a misogynist, but that's like saying because no, of course, but that's like saying because you've ever eaten a steak, you don't care about animals.
Right.
Effectively, what you're saying is because he had a business in which some man may have felt exploited at some point, he doesn't care about humanity, which is a logic fail.
Yeah.
So that's not valid. What I have found in my experience often is that many women who seem to dislike me after they meet me don't dislike me. I think the energy which they find repulsive over a screen or affects them emotionally over a screen, they end up liking in person. I think hate and love are actually very close to each other. And I've had women who scream how much they hate me at the screen, and then they meet me and they literally love me. Of course. So I've yet to meet a female in person who dislikes me. And I would love to talk to these women. I think that'd be the best conversation ever. I think it'd be the best podcast on earth. But they are out to get me. They're certainly out to get me. I think that the fact that I'm so assured in a lot of my convictions, they find very threatening. People in general now seem to find it threatening when you're the kind of person who says, no, it's this way. And they say, oh, but the news said it's that way. Don't care. It's this way. And they find that ignorant, but it's not ignorant. I think it's just assured in your convictions, and they find that threatening, very threatening. I think that there's a lot of people who find me threatening, not because of necessarily what I say, but just how sure I am in my convictions and the way I present myself and in my monumental success. They find that overall threatening. The same way a rabbit will find a tiger threatening. It doesn't know why, it's just like, it just wants to run away from it.
So is it incumbent on you then change the way you're delivering the information so more people can hear it?
No. No. Because there are some people who cannot be saved, and it's not my intention to save everybody. I have no intention of trying to convince everybody to like me. My intention is to try to speak to the people out there who know what I'm saying is true and who like the way it's being presented and said. I, once again, have no concern with being disliked by X percentage of the population. And I want to make this clear. I've spoken to a lot of people who have talked about how their mental health has been affected by, online bullying and media campaigns and smear campaigns. I don't think anybody's been attacked by the media in the last 2 years harder than me. Every day, there is something in the media trying to paint me as a bad person. On TV channels from Ulaanbaatar to Utah, across the entire world. And I can sit here and say categorically, I've never read a media report and been like, shit. I've just been like clowns. Don't care.
That's a lot of energy coming at you, psychic energy coming at you. And like, have you reconciled to this idea that you're Andrew Tate, you were born, you have a life, you're your own inner world, just doing your thing. And then there's an Andrew Tate that's out there. And people are projecting their love and hate onto you. And it's not, none of it's really real, but you have to hold all of that mass projection. How is that?
Yeah, but then let's psychoanalyze me, right? You're the professional, I'm the amateur, but let's do it. Why don't I care that the media continues to attempt to slander me continuously, and they don't do it to anybody else, and it's unfair that they're doing it to me, because if I was a genuine sexual predator like the people they defend, I'd be protected by these people. You know, we can discuss this, right? If I was going into girls' toilets, they wouldn't say anything bad about what I was doing.
Yeah.
So why are they, the fact that it's so unfair and it's so pervasive and it's so aggressive, why doesn't it bother me? Am I ignorant?
It doesn't bother you?
I don't think it does.
Do you block it out? I mean, you must read these things and see your name associated with these horrendous crimes.
But it's not real. It's false.
But you're
If what they were, if what, Aikido, if what they were saying was true, it would bother me.
Yeah.
But genuinely, because I know it's all garbage, it's all lies, it doesn't, it's water off a duck's back. And maybe my obsession with truth is obsession, I don't know if that's the right word, but because I believe I'm talking the truth and because I believe the current war we're in is genuinely one of truth against deception and lies, that's their only weapon. That's their weapon, is deception and lies. So everything they say is a lie, so it doesn't really affect me. And I will sit and say that.
But I know for me it's painful when I'm not seen. Like my goodness isn't seen, right? Like it's painful if people misrepresent the things that I say or judge me because of my association with you. Like it's painful, I'm not seen, right? And that can make me angry and maybe cause, I don't know, some kind of negative reaction within me. And I guess, I'm just curious, like, isn't it painful in some way? Like people, because there's a lot of people out there, they don't see you. They don't see your goodness. They only see the dark part of you, or they project their own darkness onto you, or their father's darkness, or Trump, whoever the fuck it is. They project that onto you. In some way, isn't that like?
But those people are already paying the price.
But those people, but for you, I'm saying for you, your inner.
It doesn't bother me because those people are already paying the price for their ignorance. Their minds are not free. Anybody who sits and watches the news and believes what the news says about me is the same kind of person who believes everything the news says. And if you have two choices in this world, people are talking about the battle I'm in, and yes, I may be spearheading it, I may be at the front of it, but I believe that this war cannot be avoided. You are either at war against the injustice and against the lies, or you're at war with your own mind when you believe they're garbage. It is impossible for a man to believe the crap they want you to believe and be a happy, functioning adult. It's impossible. If you believe the shit that's on the television as a man, you're going to be miserable. So you're either at war with your brain or at war with them. Anyone who's going to sit there and go, I believe Andrew Tate is a human trafficker, I have 25 vaccines, I believe in Ukraine. These people are already paying the price because they're already miserable, and I can guarantee everyone who dislikes me is an unhappy person because their minds are enslaved. So I don't feel, when someone sits across from me, which has never happened in person, let's say someone on the internet makes a video, right, and these happen. A new Andrew Tate's the worst man ever. I can load up the video and just look at it for a fraction of a second and go, he's paid the price. He's already miserable. If I was that person, then depression would be real. These are fat internet trolls, losers, who can't compare to me in any human metric. They know it, which is why they dislike me. Because anybody who genuinely gets out in the world and looks for truth and looks to be successful and is tenacious and is brave agrees with everything I say. So I don't feel pain when someone sits and says garbage about me because I believe that their mind is already suffering because they're not free. Their mind's not free. Anybody who can listen to what I say long enough and not be emotional about it and actually understand it, well, those people aren't paying the price. So maybe that's a coping mechanism, but every single time I see a woman who hates me or a man who hates me, and I compare them to the people who like me, there's a massive contrast in overall physical attractiveness, success, financial success. Like, it's amazing. So it's like, okay, well, my haters are way down here, and the people who agree with me are way up here, so let them hate.
Maybe they just resent you.
Of course, not maybe. I think a lot of the reason this is happening to me is, and maybe this is arrogant, but
Are you arrogant?
I'm with the therapist, so I'm allowed to be arrogant, right? A lot of the reason this is happening to me is because I'm tall and built, muscles and cool cars and, smart. People don't like me. There's people who look at me and go, he thinks he's too cool. Teach him a lesson. There's a massive amount of resentment involved in all of this. Even from the Matrix itself, we talk about the Matrix and I talk about it and people, of course we compare it to the movie. But at the end of the day, there are people, moving parts in all of this. There's a prosecutor, there's a judge, there's a lawyer, whatever. Someone is sitting in an office who gets a piece of paper saying, destroy Andrew Tate. And that person looks at my life and compares it to theirs, and they feel resentful. And then they go, okay, let me use every power I have to try and destroy this thing. If my life wasn't so aspirational is a word you can use, but it also didn't tick nearly every single box in regards to every teenage boy's dream, I think that they would be a lot less interested in trying to hurt me. They're trying to hurt me because of the things I have and what I can do. So there's a massive level of resentment in all of it. And I also think the people who dislike me a lot of it's resentment. It's either weaponized virtue or resentment. Especially weaponized virtue. Let's talk about that. Because whenever I have a hate online, it's funny, people who hate me in person are very respectful. It's very strange. Isn't it weird how the bottom line of humanity is always going to be physicality? When they meet me, they shut up.
Sure. Keyboard warriors are very tough.
Of course. But online, it's very hard to say I'm stupid. It's very hard to say I'm not successful. It's very hard to say I'm fat. It's very hard to say I'm ugly. It's very hard to say I'm not charming or I'm not charismatic. It's very difficult to attack me with anything other than the fact I'm a bad person. He's all these things. He's perfect in nearly every metric, but he's a bad person, right? So how do you do that? Well, you take a virtue and you weaponize it, misogyny, homophobic, whatever it is. They pretend they care about the subject when they don't. And they put it into a bullet and they shoot at it. And it's weaponized virtue. It's not genuine virtue. These people who are saying I'm a misogynist don't care about combating misogyny. They just want to try and hurt me with it. That's the first thing. Well, the second thing is genuine resentment. Yeah, I remind them of the guy who picked on them in school, or the guy who fucked their girl, took the girl off them, and they don't like me for it. But that's not my problem. That's their issue.
Are you defensive? Is that like a defensive posture? Is the way that you can be?
I really want when I.
Are you open to these people?
No. And when I talk to you, I want
want you to be open. This is what I think it is. It's like you are the man. It's like you are the daddy. It's just like, why are you being so mean to me? Why are you fucking yelling at me? I want you. I need you, brother. Like, show up in a good fucking way. Where are you? Like, that's what's going on for them emotionally.
perhaps.
Yeah. And so do you have a responsibility in that place to transcend the place you are in to really fully realize your leadership? You know what I'm saying?
That's a very good question. And when I'm talking to you, I want to be as honest and vulnerable as I've ever been. I'm trying to be as vulnerable as I can be. But also, so let's talk about these people who resent me the most, or these people who disagree with my message.
What's it like for you to be vulnerable? What's that word even mean to you? How do you relate to that word? Vulnerability?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I don't know how I relate to the word vulnerability.
Well, you are vulnerable.
You can't put yourself out in the world like this to be seen. That is a vulnerable act. Getting into the ring with another fighter where he might kick your ass, that's vulnerable. That's intense vulnerability.
I think emotional vulnerability, nearly at every form, at every level, is basically a form of manipulation. So
Maybe that's just how you experienced it growing up.
perhaps.
Was your mother emotionally manipulative?
No, but if a girl cried in front of me, I believe she'd be trying to get out. I don't think it's just because she feels bad. I think it's because she's trying to get a reaction from me. And I think when men cry to their wives or whatever, a lot of it is trying to inspire sympathy from her. I think a lot of emotional vulnerability, to a degree, is all manipulation.
Like then that would indicate that in some way that you are manipulating.
We all manipulate each other.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if you're seeing manipulation in others, that must also exist in you. And I guess that's the question. Is there a way, right? Like, can you actually not be manipulating? And manipulating is a strong word. It has a negative connotation. But, like, in some sense, trying to control. Because one of the things that I find in this conversation, right, it's like, I mean, I actually think you're going along with my line of questioning really well. Like, you're not trying to control everything. But there is a way, right, that you have a tactic, you're trying to control things, you're trying to get away from something, you're trying to control a conversation on some level. But what if you gave that up?
Well, okay, I'm trying to be as vulnerable as possible. But when we
But like just the idea, right? Like what would happen if?
let's do it. I'm trying my very best. Old habits die hard.
But don't worry about the result. Just ask yourself the question, like what would happen if you let go of trying to control everything? Just feel into what that would feel like.
But that goes back to the point about what vulnerability is, because I don't think humans are as emotionally incontinent as they pretend to be. And I believe that when you truly feel pain or truly feel trauma or something really bad happens to you, the result of that is usually silence. I don't think you talk very much at all. So people, you ask me, what is it like to be vulnerable? Well, to me, that's not crying. That's not. I think when anyone's doing that, 99% of the time it's a manipulation. I believe, personally. Maybe that's just my personal experience. But, yeah, maybe. But I think especially with men, I think it's a manipulation tactic when they try and show too much emotion, and women do it as well. And I don't react very well to it. If someone were to sit in front of me and start bawling their eyes out, it's very hard to elicit sympathy from me for that reason. I feel like you get sympathy from me by sitting and explaining to me why something bad happened to you in a logical, calm, stoic manner. If someone starts crying in front of me, I feel like they're trying to manipulate me, and I don't buy it.
Or maybe you judge it in them because you judge that in yourself.
Perhaps. I mean, it's my human experience, right? And it's my bias. But I'm trying to think of the very few scenarios in which I would ever cry. I'm thinking, would it genuinely be because I feel so much pain, or if I think it could benefit me or help me? Would I be trying to manipulate somebody? Now, that's not something I'd ever do because it's not my personality and mental frame, but
But crying is just a physiological reaction to express pain and grief that allows us to release this and to come back to homeostasis. It's just, well, it can be.
It's don't attack me.
But it's also a physiological response.
oh, completely. But it's don't attack me anymore. It's I'm the victim, don't attack me anymore. Yes, I cheated on you. Ah, don't. It's a shield. And so when we talk about what does vulnerable mean, I feel like I'm being vulnerable now when I'm explaining things extremely logically. That's as vulnerable as I can be. I cannot be the kind of person who's going to cry. But once again, this is my mental model. I haven't instilled.
Is that what it means? Vulnerability, cry?
I guess vulnerability.
What about admitting your weaknesses?
I'll admit my weaknesses.
What
Right?
are your
Then this is so interesting because I will tell you. No, it is because I'll tell you I'll admit my weaknesses, and I will. But now I have to try and identify some because in my mental framework I don't have weaknesses. So now it's like, okay, I am prepared to admit where I'm weak. Where am I weak? Well, I've tried so hard for so long to make sure I'm not weak anywhere, and if I am, I've compensated so heavily in some other way, I don't fail. So it's like, where am I weak? I'm that guy who does not fail. It doesn't matter what scenario anybody's life is in. It doesn't matter if you get dumped into jail. It doesn't matter if you're going into war. It doesn't matter if you're bankrupt. Whatever it is, if someone says Tate's on your side, you feel good. Oh, Tate's here. Ah, Tate, okay. He can't even swim, but he's here to he's the lifeguard. Tate doesn't fail. I can't swim, but it's an example. Right? So I do not fail ever. So it's very hard for me to identify weaknesses because I feel like they've all been ruthlessly. I think I've rooted out any weakness or I've compensated so heavily so long ago. I don't see myself as a weak person. I don't see myself as a person who can fail. People said to me in jail, how did you handle that? What else can I do? Not handle it? What does that look like? I'm gonna bang my head on the wall like a dummy? Am I gonna have a breakdown and just be a pile of mush? All you can do is handle it. So we're talking about vulnerability. I'm being as vulnerable as I can, but I can't even honestly sit here and tell you a weakness I have because in my mind I have no weaknesses. And perhaps that's delusion. Perhaps it's delusion.
Yeah,
But a useful delusion is what you're saying.
It's brutally useful. And when I teach this or when I talk about this, there's a lot of men who perhaps want to adopt it, but the mistake they make is they don't have the real world experience to back it up. I don't want people to be completely lose their minds. We're not talking about that, but we're talking about the fact that I can name so many scenarios in my life where I was supposed to fail, and I did not fail. It's brutally realistic, it's brutally logical, it's built on competence, it's built on real world accolade and achievement. Everything I've ever wanted, I have achieved, and I have gotten. I have never failed at anything I've ever wanted, ever. So how am I going to wake up and say, oh, I've got this weakness, that weakness, when I have a 100% success rate? 100%. There's never a girl I wanted I didn't get. There's never a car I wanted I didn't drive. There's never a scenario where I said, I want to get through this, I didn't get through it. I've never failed. So of course I'm going to sit and say, yeah, I would love to tell you my weaknesses. I can't think of it. I don't know.
Right, but are you being humbled right now? Is this whole series of events humbling you?
It's taught me things I already knew. I know you can't be bigger than a justice system. I was saying Icarus for a reason. I knew they would come for me. I know I'm only human.
But you're not, do you?
I do. I'm just a very good one. I'm just a very good one.
Is there somewhere inside you a belief that you're invincible? Like you can't get got? Because that is a
That's-
dangerous
that's
fucking
dangerous.
distortion.
No.
I wouldn't have been saying Icarus for that reason.
Right.
I'm actually far more cautious than most people would believe. I err on the side of caution.
You're tactical.
I'm very tactical with all of my life. Even the security I organize, the places I stay, where I go, I'm extremely tactical. I don't believe I'm Superman. I just believe that I do not fail. And because you have no weaknesses, doesn't mean you can't lose, right? You can be strong in all realms and still lose. There are world champion boxers who have no weakness. They do everything right and they lose fights, right? So I'm not saying I'm invincible. I'm just saying if you ask me to name my weakness, I can't think of it. Sure. You can ask people around me. I would love to hear it. And I guess I can tell you what people say about me.
Well, actually, that's a good question. Do you feel like you get, I guess Tristan, but you get honest reflection? Can you trust the reflection? Because, you're at the center of this kind of empire and you have all of these friends. But can you trust the information that's coming to you from anyone? Because I'm here in some way for my own self-interest, right? And the fact that you trust me it was interesting to me. You let me in your house. I assume that you have some kind of instinct about it. But that must be hard, trust.
I get a lot of feedback, and it all goes into a big pile, and I listen to every word that's said to me. I'm not the person who's beyond reproach. Everyone I work with, a lot of people have said things to me, and I'm told about myself quite often. And I put it all in a pile, and I analyze every single word carefully. I ignore most of it, but I do listen to it. And I guess the number one bad or negative thing people will say about me who know me is they may say I'm very insensitive. I hear that sometimes, usually from women. I'm insensitive. Because I think once you become a ruthless problem solver, you come across to a degree as insensitive. We have this big issue and everyone's crying. Okay, stop crying, fix the issue. You have to be insensitive. Okay, what are you crying about? Let's fix that.
Right. Well, you know that's wrong.
Well, a lot of people want to vent. They don't want to fix the problem. They want to
Well, they
cry.
just need you to be with them and say, I understand, here you are, baby, I love you. You're rolling your eyes.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So when you become a ruthless problem solver, you become to a degree insensitive. Now there are some scenarios which that doesn't work. Right? There's some problems you can't fix. The death of a loved one, that's different. But if people are crying about something which is very fixable, it's very difficult for me to be interested in their crying. And I'll tell you why. Because if I have a set standard for myself, if I wouldn't allow myself that luxury, it's very hard for me to give it out to everybody else. If I don't allow myself the luxury of being incompetent because of an emotion, then it's very hard for me to look at others and go, well, you're allowed to be incompetent because of your emotions, and you're allowed to be incompetent because of your emotions, and I'll just deal with the struggle of never being incompetent ever, regardless of how I feel. If I have standard for myself, I'm going to implore my standard or imply my standard on others. If they don't meet that standard, then they're going to call me insensitive.
What would you have to give up to become more sensitive, particularly to your women?
I'm a very sensitive, romantic, nice man. In general, I'm actually a romantic man. I get called that a lot. No one calls me cold.
Right.
It's different.
You're loving?
Completely. But when it comes to problems especially, I can be insensitive.
Default to problem solving.
Absolutely.
They want.
What's the
They
issue?
want you to just understand and hold them.
They want to cry about the problem a while. And time is money. Time is money. I'm like, okay, yeah. Boom, boom, fixed. No, but you don't understand. Da, da, da. I do understand. Now it's fixed. Next. I think that's just competence. And I think that's genuinely, I think most men are kind of like that. Perhaps I'm just hyper like that. So I get called insensitive sometimes. What else do people say negative about me? This is
Are
interesting.
you arrogant?
Well, the difference between arrogance and reality is just competence, isn't it?
Say that again?
The difference between arrogance and a healthy grasp of reality is only going to be the competence of an individual. If I can kick the fuck out of everybody, for example, and I say I can kick the fuck out of everybody, am I arrogant?
Not necessarily. It depends on the kind of energy of it, right? But, one might say that arrogance hides insecurity. Like, are there places where you're insecure?
That's another very good question, but let me think about this for a second and answer it, because these are questions I've never been asked before. But I don't, okay, so what am I insecure about? This is another point, and maybe this is a personality characteristic, which is interesting. I don't do anything I'm bad at, ever.
Like sing?
Yeah, like sing. I cannot sing, so I will not sing.
I'd love to hear you.
I'm sure you wouldn't. But maybe that once again shapes my reality because I refuse to do anything I am bad at. If I'm bad at it, I hire someone else to do it, or I find someone else who's good at it, and I offer value to them to do it. I don't do my entire reality.
Why? Why? Because you don't want to. I mean, there's the things you're incompetent in, and you have time, but like, because you're scared to look foolish or not be good at something, and people are going to see, oh, Tate's not so great at everything.
No, I don't think it's emotional. I think it's purely logical. I'm thinking about my day. Every single thing I do are the things I am absolute best at. If I'll put boxing gloves on after this and I'll go fight and I'll beat everybody. I'll destroy everyone. And I think I only enjoy things that I'm good at. And I also think that if I have X amount of hours in the day, the way I can be the most competitive, most fearsome predator is to spend all of my waking time doing things I'm the best at and leave things that I'm not good at to the other people who perhaps are good at them. If you're an accountant and you want to become as rich as possible, then what you do is as many hours as possible accounting.
But you rationalize it.
I am, correct. So let me rationalize it. I'll rationalize it.
Yeah, but that's what you do, and that can be a defense. I mean, rationalization is a classic defense.
Yeah, but that's my
And you're really good at it, right? It's just, but it's like a sword you have that's super sharp, and you want to use it all the time. Yeah, but what if you set it down and realize there's other tools available in your toolkit, and maybe you need to develop those?
But rationalizing is how I built my mind.
You don't have to give it up. The sword's right there. You just have to use it all the time.
But it's all my entire framework and how I view the world has all been one massive rationalization, and it's let me build a reality which is exactly what I want it to be.
You must know that has limitations, because you can't rationalize everything. That's not what life is, right? There's other layers of reality that the mind does not understand.
Okay, well,
right?
You're right. And just because I rationalize things doesn't mean I don't feel things. But, yeah.
I know you feel it.
Yeah, I feel things.
And I actually know that you're really sensitive. Like I wouldn't be here if I thought you were some, maniacal psychopath. It's because I'm here because I can, and that's what I think a lot of people saw in the interview. They felt your sensitivity, they felt your vulnerability, and they were really attracted to it.
Oh, I'm a lot more sensitive than people know. And this is one of the things I like to say. When I talk about depression not being real or how life is pain and suffering, that doesn't mean that I'm not saying those things because I've never felt them. I'm saying those things because I know them intimately. I'm saying those things because I know exactly how it would feel to label myself a depressed person. I know it very well. I just refuse to do it. So yeah, I'm absolutely not really a sensitive person. I would label myself sensitive. But maybe but maybe, one second, I just want to go back to my original point. Maybe my worldview is affected by, and we're talking about arrogance, when you wake up and all you do are things you're world level. Everything you do are things you're fantastic at, right? All of the time. And you beat everybody all of the time at all of it. Aren't you going to have a degree, a tinge, perhaps, of arrogance? Of course. So, but would I label myself an arrogant person? Well, I'm not going to sit down and say I'm good at something I'm not. So I don't think I'm unrealistic.
Are you taking on the full responsibility that you have given all of the gifts that you've been given by God? Is there any place where you're not taking on responsibility for that?
No. I think I take care of absolutely everybody I love in every single way. I think anybody who's ever needed me, I've been there for them if they've deserved it. I think anybody who listens to my message is becoming a better person overall. I genuinely believe I'm fixing and helping society. I don't know what else more I'm supposed to do. I mean, to a degree, I'm almost marking myself. What else more can I do? My options at this point are either to continue to help people and explain to men why I became so successful, which is all I'm basically doing. I'm saying you're a man and you're upset and you want to be X. I'm telling you how I became what I wanted to be. This is what I did.
Is there anything beyond the things you just said that you're responsible for? Like, what is your responsibility here?
My responsibility?
Well, I guess ultimately to yourself, to your family first, right? What is your responsibility to God?
I think God wants me to be the best possible version of myself. I think that God dislikes people who are lazy. I said this to somebody once and he got very offended. I said, God doesn't like lazy people. God has created you and he wants to see the absolute best you can be. I think that you don't take care of yourself, God has no interest in taking care of you. If you have a Ferrari on the drive and you don't take care of it, who's going to take care of it? Nobody. I think that taking care of yourself and being the best possible version of yourself you can be is how you please God. I think that's one of the best ways to praise Him, is to wake up every day and say, I need to be the strongest, smartest, fastest, most fearsome, most stoic, most capable man I can possibly be. This is how I please God. So I think your duty to God is also these things, and that's another massive source of strength that I get. When I'm alone in a jail cell, I understand that God is still watching, and God would be unhappy if I couldn't handle it. I don't think, maybe we can talk about God, or we can also talk just about basic cosmic balance. I don't believe you can become the most famous man on the planet, calling yourself the top G, without the universe testing you if you're really about it. I don't think you're going to get to a point where the universe, whatever you want to call it, is going to say, is he really the top G? And you're going to have to prove it. If you walk through life and say, I'm made of iron, I'm Mr. Tough Guy, sooner or later someone's going to check you and find out if you are or not. So when I was doing this for a very long time, I wasn't ignorant to the fact that something's going to come along and see if I am who I am. So when I'm sitting in a jail cell by myself with cockroaches all over the floor, I'm like, okay, this is my chance to show I'm not full of shit. Was I full of shit? No, I wasn't. Am I going to allow everything I've ever said and my last name and my duty to God and everything to go down the pan, or am I going to just man up and fucking win? So I saw it, I guess, to a degree as an opportunity, but there was a massive burden of responsibility on me on how I had to perform. I didn't have time to be depressed or sad. This is what I'm saying to you earlier. I didn't have time. I had things to do. Top G's kids can't eat. Top G's women can't pay the bills. Top G's business is over. No, I had to fix all of it from jail and fix myself and get out. I was very busy inside of my brain staring at a wall. So I didn't have time for this. And this is another thing I try and explain to people and I don't understand about, and I talk about men specifically because I understand how to be successful as a man. When men say to me they're depressed, with unlimited options, with the capability to become anything you desire, with God giving you a full and able body and mind, how do you have time to be depressed? You have so much you could do. There's so much that you need to do to be your best self. And you're competing against men like me, and you're finding hours a day to be sad? No wonder you're going to perpetually lose forever. That's suicide. So how do you find time to do this? It's brutally ineffective. You have a brain, you have a mind, you have a mental model. You can't think of everything, you can't do everything. You can only have certain frameworks instilled inside of your mind. As a man, you should be hyper-competitive. You should try and be the best version of yourself you can be. You're competing against every other man on earth for the girl you want, the car you want, the house you want, the watch you wear. It's all competition. You should be as competitive as you possibly can. Anything that's inside of your mind which doesn't allow you to be competitive should be erased. This is why I can't name a weakness. I can't name a weakness I have. I've compensated so heavily for any weakness that may exist, I don't even see them anymore.
Is your belief in God tied into this concept that we talked about, that what's useful is more important than what's true, or better than what's true? So we don't, do we know that God exists? I mean, we don't know, but it's useful to believe in God.
That's a very good question. I think that believing in God certainly makes you more powerful, which is proof for God. If God makes you more powerful, then God is real. So maybe that's very simplistic, but if I believe in God and I'm a more powerful version of myself because I believe in him, then he must exist. God has made me more powerful.
Well, it's the act of believing him that makes him exist. It's another way of saying what we just said.
Correct, yeah. So this is why I believe faith is such an important thing. But I think everybody has a God anyway. There's no such thing as atheists. If you look at the people who say, I don't believe in God, they worship a flag and a vaccine. So everyone believes in something. So you have to decide what your religion is. And I, once again, refuse to believe in anything that takes away power from me. I believe in things that make me more powerful. And I believe that believing in God gives you a new degree of strength. And I also think everybody to some degree believes in God. I don't care what anybody says. If you put anyone in that submarine just before it imploded, everyone would pray. Everyone. So it's ignorant to even say you don't believe in God at this point.
It's interesting that you chose Islam, and I heard you talk a little bit about how you see God in Islam as kind of, you know, I don't know how harsh this, but like firm and directional and clear, and this is right and this is wrong, which sounds a lot like your dad.
Well, it sounds a lot like life.
Yeah, like life.
There's right and wrong in life. All this complete subjectiveness, this mush they're trying to create, is done on purpose to confuse us. I like the idea of right and wrong. I like the idea of not having a choice. If you walk in, if you're hungry and you walk in to buy a sandwich and there's 100 sandwiches, it takes 10 minutes. If there's one sandwich, Isn't life easier sometimes?
Yeah.
So all this subjectiveness and all this choice and all this garbage, sometimes when I'm like, okay, I want to be a good person, I want a framework to adhere to that makes me a good person. Well, this is very clear. Yes, no, easy.
Do you have like embodied experiences of God? Like, do you relate to God in that way? You know, I don't want to say supernatural, but like, do you feel God?
I absolutely feel it, and there's certain times where I may feel particularly energetic.
When do you feel God?
So usually when I'm feeling powerful. There's been times I was in jail and I just got up and I just felt like, you know what, yeah, like just shadow boxed a bit. I don't know. It's like you just felt it. Like I'll be okay. I will win. I don't feel God when I'm sad or something like that. I think that the whole idea of spirituality, and I believe God is himself, he wants the best for you. And it's interesting, yeah, how we're tying religion to my worldviews, because my worldviews were the same before religion. I guess before it was the cosmos, or just the way the universe works, or light, dark, yin, yang, etc. I still say these things, but now I attribute a lot more of it to spirituality, a lot more of it to God. And yeah, I chose Islam because it's firm, and I believe that I'm a person with firm principles, so I'm obviously going to liken myself, or I'm going to feel an affinity to a religion that has firm principles, because that's who I am as a person. I'm a person who's principled, yes, no, and I have no problem with people sitting with me and saying, what you're saying is bigoted, or what you're saying is wrong, or what you're saying is insensitive. I think Islam also has a similar issue.
Yeah, I think you also chose the winning team.
Oh, it's completely the winning team. It's the winning team. And it's the winning team, and I don't choose it because it's the winning team. It's just the winning team because it has principles.
Yeah, I agree.
And unfortunately, when you have no principles, if you stick up, if you don't believe in it, if you have no hard line, if you'll accept anything, then you don't believe in anything. As soon as you'll accept anything, then you have no hardcore beliefs. If you have any set of principles, or you have any things you believe in, there's going to end up being a barrier, and the people who fall outside of those barriers are going to be offended by it. That's the reality of it. If you have a religion or a belief system that doesn't offend anybody, then it's not a religious or belief system. That's my view. So yeah, I chose the winning team because I think more and more people are starting to understand how important God is in society. This is the first time in human history we're testing society without God. And what do we have? We have evil. We have Satanism. We have degeneracy. And I think that most people are starting to understand that God is really needed. When I was young, I used to make fun of the Bible bashers. Let's make fun of them. And now I'm like, we need more. Where are they? We need more Bible bashers. So, yeah, and I guess I certainly feel more powerful since I've reverted, but I always felt powerful anyway. But I guess now, instead of just believing it's the cosmic nature of the universe, or let me change that. I always felt a strong affinity to my last name and my ancestors. So I always had to a degree, a spiritual aspect to where I got my strength. I always felt like when my dad is watching me, or my ancestors tried very hard for me to be born, so I can't disappoint them. So I've always had this spiritualistic side. Like, imagine the disappointment my ancestors would feel if they fought saber-toothed tigers and survived World War II and went through all the garbage they went through just for my father to be born. I mean, he suffered like he suffered to raise me, for me to be raised and become the most famous man in the world and call myself Top G and then cry when I went to jail. What am I? What kind of bitch? What am I going to do? Oh, wow. No, I go to jail with my head held high. And if they put me in jail for the next 20 years, I'll walk in there with my head held high. And if anybody sees me, I'm not going to be a broken man. I refuse to be a broken man. It's disrespectful to everybody who ever died or tried hard for me to be raised, for me to emerge from this difficulty as a broken person. That's absolutely not really selfish. When a man sits and says to me he's broken or he's depressed or he's sad, etc., that's selfishness. You have shit to do. And you have people to be respectful to, including people who are no longer here. I don't have time. They can put me in solitary confinement for 20 years, and when I walk out of there, and the first podcast I do, I refuse to be called broken. I refuse. And that's because I feel like I had a duty to my ancestors, and now I feel like I have a duty to my ancestors and a duty to God. So I've always felt that.
And I assume you feel like you're fulfilling your duty, that your father would be proud of it?
I absolutely believe he'd be extremely proud of me. I think I'm doing the best I can possibly do. And there's something that people say, you tried your best. And that's true. But a lot of people overuse it. People say, oh, well, you didn't get it, but you tried your best. 99% of the time, they didn't try their best. People don't actually try very hard to do it. I am truly, genuinely trying my best. I don't waste a minute of my day. Before this podcast, as I set up cameras, I'm working. I don't waste a minute of my day. I do not miss a training session. I do not miss an email. I do not make mistakes. I no longer, I'm on it. So I'm trying my absolute best. If I fail for the first time in human history, then I fail. But at least I get the satisfaction in my heart of knowing I actually really tried my best. Most people don't get to get that satisfaction because they know deep down they could have tried better. Whereas if I end up in jail, I'll be like, Andrew, you did everything you could have done. So that gives you a level of peace. I did my best. My ancestors are proud of me. God is proud of me. I did my absolute best. I couldn't have possibly done better. And I got hit with a lucky punch, and that's life. And all I can do is just smile regardless.
Are your oration skills, is that an art, do you think?
I think that if you don't have the ability to make other people understand exactly what you think, that you're going to struggle.
But is it an art? Like, when I watched you with PVD, you got in these zones, and you do it all the time, and you're doing it right now. You get in these zones where it's just like, you're just flowing. I mean, it's almost, you can say it's a God state, right? It's a flow state. And it must feel really good.
It does.
Yeah, like,
It feels good that you never run out of things to say, and it feels good that I already have 10 things I want to say lined up before I say the first ones.
And you know how to say them perfectly, and your voice is clear and resonant, and you're embodied in it. It's a skill. Well, but it's almost like an art, because I was watching you and I was thinking, this is like watching, Charlie Parker play the sax or Michael Jordan play basketball. I mean, you really, and people might say, oh, those are exaggerations, but I don't think so. I don't know that I've seen somebody who's able to do what you do.
But that's emotional. So we'll talk about how I'm actually quite a sensitive person. I think the reason people believe what I say is because they can feel that I feel when I talk.
yes,
And it's because I feel things.
yes.
So I'm not a cold person at all. I'm just a person with a lot of emotion that I try and control and channel in the correct directions. But I think that, yes, it's a superpower to a degree.
Well, I think that's why people are, one of the reasons that people are so drawn to you, because you let whatever wants to come through.
And it's also why so many people hate me.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's no light without dark. There's no, there's no joy without pain. Can't have a rainbow without little rain. That's how it goes. So I think that it's definitely a superpower for life. It's something I'd encourage every man to learn how to do. It's certainly something worth practicing. It's the reason I don't learn another language, because I haven't mastered English yet. So I refuse to learn another language. I can't imagine me and my personality and Andrew Tate stuttering in Spanish. It just be like, what is this garbage? So I don't have time. So I will only speak English for the rest of my human years. That's it, because I have not learned every word in the dictionary yet. But yeah, I guess to a degree it's a superpower. It's extremely beneficial in all aspects of life, especially relationships. I'm not gonna lie. I don't argue with women very often, because any woman who respects me and listens to me, I can very quickly and compendiously explain exactly why I'm correct.
It's maybe the most powerful skill.
The most powerful thing about it is there's two levels to it. One, making people understand exactly what you think. And the second one is making them think what you think. And if you can do the second one,
You like to make people think what you think? Like you have a lot of influence. And that's got to feel good. You're influencing people. You have this worldview. It's a powerful worldview. It's got all these things. And so you want to influence other people in some way to adopt that.
I think that charity, even of itself, I think charity is probably one of the most selfish things you can do, which most people say, I'm giving money. I give $25 million a year. There's a website, takepledge.com, you can see it. And I feed children all across war-torn countries, mainly in the Islamic world and in Africa. Am I doing that for the children? Yes. But I also feel great. I feel good for doing that. So it's not a selfless act.
No, nothing self.
Nothing selfish. And it shouldn't be. That's right. So when I'm helping all these people out here, I'm not doing it because I'm some philanthropist. I feel good helping people and people sending me emails saying, you changed my life. I feel good about it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm just Mr. Philanthropist and I just care about the world. No, I like helping people because I feel good about doing it. It makes me feel good inside, which is why I do it. So yeah, I use my power to feel good. And I think the easiest way to feel good is to make others feel good. I believe that humans exist that way, and I think that's why we're societal animals. Even in jail, when I felt my worst, my goal was to make someone else smile. Because if I can make someone else smile, I would smile. So on my worst days, I was my most charming, my most energetic, my most interesting, my most talkative. I was happiest on my worst day because I decided that's how I had to be to stop myself feeling bad. Because I decided. I also feel like, it's kind of interesting. No one's emotionless, and I certainly feel things. And I'm going to come up with a theory which you're going to call complete garbage, because I am not qualified, but this is my theory. I believe that emotional energy is a lot like a bucket of water. You have all this emotional energy, right? You have a bucket of water. And then you have a bunch of different holes you can pour it down. So I believe if you wake up one day and you feel particularly depressed, you don't feel depressed. You just have a lot of emotional energy that day. Some days you don't have that much emotional energy and life's pretty calm. But some days you wake up and have this big bucket of water. And the superpower is deciding which emotion you're going to put it in. Not to not feel the energy, but to decide which emotion you're going to put it in. And I think that's my superpower. I don't have the superpower of being able to stop myself feeling things. I have the superpower of being able to choose how I use that energy and what I decide to feel. And then if you want to be hyper successful as a person, you have to be very careful to avoid the happy hole. Because happy is what everyone thinks they would choose. If you had this emotional energy and could choose any emotion, you'd choose happy. But if you choose happy, you don't get much done.
What do you choose?
I choose, if I had to choose how I wanted to feel all the time, I would choose proud. And proud means you have to work. Proud means you have to do things. You have to achieve things. If you want to be proud and be realistic, you have to do fantastic things. So my default favorite emotion is proud. That's how I'm happiest when I feel proud about anything.
Well, and the organism releases dopamine in the brain when you do hard work, which is tasks.
I have to win all the time. I love proud. To feel good. I don't like happy. If I feel happy, giddish happiness like a child or like a females usually default to happy. They don't care how they get there. They just want to get there. They just want to feel happy. I avoid the happy hole because I think people who are desperate to only feel happy are the ones who are addicts. You know, gambling addicts, drug addicts, drink too much, do dumb shit. It's all temporary, no delayed gratification. That's how you destroy your life choosing the happy hole. So we were talking earlier about jail and how when I felt particularly bad, I'd wake up with a whole bunch of emotional energy. It's unchanneled, it's a bit wild, so I guess that can be perceived as sad or depressed. You're out of your routine. So I would sit and go, okay, I have all this emotional energy today, where am I going to put it? And I'd put it in a place where perhaps on that day I might feel happy, or perhaps I'd choose something else, but I would try my very best to take all the energy and put it into a place where feeling that emotion was the most competitive emotion, or was the perfect emotion for me to be as competitive as possible in that particular situation. So yeah, on days where I woke up and I felt a little bit sad, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to turn the charm on today. I'm going to make everybody laugh. And by the end of the day, I felt fantastic.
Do you think God wants to break you?
If God wants to break me, he's going to do it.
Because we said, right, the hero's journey, there must be death and rebirth. So what, like something, you have to be broken. At some point, you must be broken. You can't fulfill your mission without being broken. And whatever that is, it has to terrify you.
But can't I be semi-broken or semi-close to broken and back from the edge? Back from the edge?
And rebirth. That's the archetype, right? And what does that require? It means going into the cave and facing your dragon, which is your deepest fear, and feeling like it's going to kill you, and then entering into the void of nothingness, and then coming out the other side, reborn. And in that place where you're reborn, you're going to know things that you did not know sitting right here. And you're going to have a much bigger perspective, right? I mean, you agree with that template, right?
I agree with it, but I feel like I can just, I don't feel like not get around it, but I don't ever have to fully die. Like, I can just come close enough times. Like, I'm not going to no, of course, but I'm not going to underplay how significantly difficult my jail experience was.
Yeah, because you do talk about like how tough you were, you managed it, and I guess and which is, I believe that, I'm not, but, you know, there had to be moments where you're just like,
It was terrible.
despair,
No, it was absolutely terrible.
or with fear, or like,
But this is very interesting into your death and rebirth point, because when it felt completely terrible, I do have the emotional control to not feel that. But I decided to let myself feel it because I felt like I wouldn't learn as much if I turned my brain off. So I've talked on PBD about Tristan. Tristan and I have the same superpower. Tristan didn't care about jail. He didn't care. He didn't, or he acted like he didn't care. He acted like he didn't care. But that was his coping mechanism. Don't care about jail. I decided, no, I'm going to care. I'm going to feel everything. I'm going to allow myself to feel these negative emotions because I feel like I will learn more. I could have done what Tristan did. I could have woke up and said one day or later, let me out. Still rich, give a fuck. Could have done that. I didn't do that. And jail, that's why he sleeps. That's why I have nightmares. Because I don't believe his jail experience was that traumatic because he was he turned his brain off to it. And that is a superpower. And I do have that power. If I went to war, I could go to war and watch all my friends be blown to pieces and still fight. I would still be capable. I can turn my brain off if I have to, but I decided not to because I felt that feeling things would teach me more, which is why I'm kind of arguing your point about death and rebirth, because I feel like I don't have to fully break. I just have to get close enough to the edge to learn something and come back.
Why not break?
Because if I break, then there's too much, my empire might fall. Well, exactly. I don't know.
That's scary.
It is scary. So why would
That's
I?
why you don't want to break.
Completely.
It's scary.
I don't want to lose what I have. Mentally,
But
physically, financially.
Yeah, but that attachment, what would God say to that attachment? I don't want to lose what I have.
But okay, I don't want to lose what I have because I also have a responsibility for others. Let me tell you something. If my mind broke and I couldn't come back from that,
What's more important, your family or God?
does God want me to break? I don't know. You asked. You asked the question. And if he does, I will break. Right? But I won't have a choice. But jail itself was terrible. Like, we're talking about vulnerability. I can sit and explain all the things I struggled with in jail. It was absolutely terrible. And I think a lot of people who are watching this, I think they need to keep in mind, I wasn't in jail. I was in Romania jail. What's the difference? Well, it's the poorest country in Europe built on communism. And it's basically designed to torture. Yeah. I mean, it's not like jail, like we imagine jail. I don't want to insult the Romanian justice system. I don't want to insult any Romanians. I'm still within the confines of Romania. But I think most people at home understand what I'm talking about. I didn't have yard time. I didn't have any friends. I was in a room for 93 days. I did not leave that room unless I was being dragged to court in a language I didn't understand, be sent back to the room. Yeah, it was hard.
I did a 4-day vision quest, 4 days, 4 nights, no food or water out in the mountains, like in a restricted area, like just like a prison cell. And that took me to my end. So I can't even imagine
And yeah,
93 days.
yeah, I mean, it's terrible. And you don't know how long you're going to be in there for. And you have no control over anything. And you don't sleep very well. People think you just sleep it off, but you can't. The jail is very loud. There's a lot of distressed people in there, a lot of upset people. The energy is sad. Yeah, it's a bad place to be. But I knew that my only option was to deal with it. So I knew that not handling it wasn't an option. So if not handling it's not an option, the only option left is handling it. So you just have to find the best way to do it. And I certainly allowed myself to feel a lot of emotions in there that I could have probably blocked out so that I could learn as many lessons as possible. And I've learned a lot of things. But I would say that, I mean, all in all, I understood as a man, you need to have a strong body so you're not attacked by anyone else, and a strong mind so you don't attack yourself. And I think jail, in many ways, is just pressurized life. And if you feel a little bit angry outside of jail, you'll be very angry in jail. It's pressurized life, and you can't distract yourself with anything. Most people, if you feel angry right now, you're like, oh, that pissed me off. Let me get on the phone and talk to someone else about something else. You distract yourself, but you're left alone with your thoughts, and you can't distract yourself. And God decided to put me in there to learn some things. And I think it just confirmed a bunch of things I already knew. And I think it was a chance for me to prove to him and to prove to myself I'm not full of shit. And I think that was...
Did you worry that you were full of shit?
Never. But it's good when you get tested. No, but this is actually the truth. Top G, right? It's a name, nickname, blah, 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 Top G. The basic premise behind it and why I'm idolized by all these young men especially is I'm Top G, the number one G, the guy who can do anything. He's the guy. I never for a second when I was saying it didn't mean it. I never for a second when I was saying it thought I was full of shit. So God was like, okay, let's find out he's full of shit. And I was placed there, and I said, all right, this is a chance for me to prove to myself, and prove to God, and prove to the man watching to the prison guards, and prove to everyone else, my ancestors, that I'm not full of shit. I had a sense of duty in there, and I feel like I performed it exceptionally. And it doesn't matter if they kept me in there for 3 months or 3 years or 4 years. I have to perform. That's who I am. And I default to rationalizing, as you said, whatever it takes. I will come up with any rationale, and I will say it in any way which is interesting and engaging and convincing enough to the outside world and to myself to install it in my brain that allows me to compete. That's just what I'm going to do, because I don't want to lose anything ever. And yeah, life, perhaps, if we want to extrapolate this out, perhaps God's trying to break all of us. Maybe life is a big competition of who breaks life. I would actually argue, and I said this before, that the number one indicator of a man's success is his ability to deal with stress. I don't think it's IQ. I don't think it's physical capability. I don't think it's anything. If you take a man who can deal with a bunch of stress, he's going to be more successful than a man who can deal with less stress. How much stress you can put up with has a direct correlation to the kind of life you're going to live. Most people who want my life don't have my life because they couldn't handle my life. That's why. They go, I want to be like Tate, I want fast cars and private jets and all these girls and all these kids and all blah, blah, blah. But they couldn't handle it. They couldn't deal with the pressure of it, which is why they'll never get there. Because even if they get anywhere near it, they'll have a mental breakdown. So how big your life is and how successful you are in the physical realm is directly into how much stress you can deal with. And perhaps God's trying to break all of us and he's trying to find all of our limits. I think most people at home watching this probably have something going on in their mind right now, or something going on in their lives that might break them. To me, it would be nothing. To them, it's a big deal. So God's out here to break all of us, and I want to be the guy who breaks last.
Well, maybe he's trying to make us stronger, give us tests to help us evolve, help us grow, to help us know him more.
Absolutely. So let's assume that's what God is doing. To a degree, he's trying to see where all of us would break. You have two responses to that. You can either be intimidated by the fact that God is out there trying to make your life difficult, or you can be excited by the idea of it and saying, this is my chance to prove myself to God. Which is what I was saying earlier on at the very beginning of our podcast, why I've adopted the mindset where struggle is semi-excitement. God is out here trying to ask me questions or put me through scenarios where I get to prove myself to him, and perhaps that's why all the bad things happen. Maybe that's why that girl left you. Maybe that's why he made you love her so much, so that she could break your heart and fuck your best friend on purpose, so that to see how close you could come to breaking. Maybe that's what it's all about. Maybe that's the fun of it.
The mantra that I use is, yes, thank you. Whatever comes, yes, thank you. And yes is an acceptance to God, and thank you is gratitude for what's happening. And that mindset is a kind of surrender to God's will. Do you struggle between, your will is very strong. And I can feel the place where you like to impose your will in the world. So your will versus God's will.
Well, he'll win.
Are you in a fight with God on some level, like not literally, but unconsciously, between his will and your will?
No, I think I am doing his will. I think I am doing his will, which is what it takes to be truly successful in the world. I do believe that the moral arc of the universe does bend towards truth. That's not my saying. I think it's Martin Luther King's. But I think that it bends towards truth and justice in the end. I think that the battles we are currently fighting in society, which look hopeless, in the end can be won. And I feel like I am doing his will by standing up and telling the truth. I think I'd have to be a complete coward of a man to end up having all of the masculine youth of a planet paying attention to every word I say, and then say, oh, but if I tell them good things, if I help them and help the world by extension, I might get in trouble. That'd make me a bitch, and that's not who I am. So I think if you give any man worth his salt that degree of power and influence and responsibility, he's going to stand up and say, okay, this is how you should live as a man, and this is how you can make the world a better place. Unless he's afraid of the repercussions by the evil people, by the people who are on the other side, who are genuinely evil and satanic, who are out to destroy good and truth. And I'm not a coward. I've never seen myself as a coward. And in fact, we don't talk about vulnerability. The number one thing I could never exist as is a coward. I think that's, you want to talk about my biggest fear, it would be knowing I'm a coward. Seeing myself as a coward, and being very realistic and knowing I was actually a coward. I couldn't accept that, because I feel like I would be disappointing all of my ancestors and God, and I would have been full of shit all the time I was talking. Now I'm a fake, now I'm a liar, and I'm none of those things. When I say to the camera and I sit here and talk about depression not being real, I mean what I say, because I've lived enough shit to tell you that if depression was real, I would have been depressed. And people know that, which is why they listen to me in the first place. I would hate to look in the mirror and know I acted like a coward on that scenario. I can't be that person. So,
Courage is the highest virtue.
you think so?
Courage, love.
Well, I like to think of myself as a man with plenty of love in his life and a very loving man. I also like to think of myself as an extremely brave person. I've never been a coward. And even just the idea of being a coward is enough to motivate me to do nearly anything. So if you were to try and, here we go, vulnerability. If you were to try and manipulate me, how could you manipulate Andrew Tate, one of the smartest people on the face of the planet, where you would have to try and convince him that it was the only way back? That's how I could be manipulated. Now, I allow manipulation to find out where my enemy wants me to go, use my mind to break the track, punish the perpetrator. I will allow them to manipulate me, and at the end of their attempt, I will decide whether I agree with their attempt or I destroy their attempt. But that would be give you the best possible chance. And I give you a perfect example of it. COVID, when on day one, when everyone got locked in their houses and they were talking about Italian hospitals being full and people were dying on the street in China, when everyone believed because it was brand new, day one, me and Tristan decided to fly to Sweden and just run around in nightclubs because it's the only open country. Did we do that because we have medical expertise? Did we do that because we were guaranteed to not get sick? Did we do that because we knew something other people didn't? No, it was the brave choice. The brave choice is to go do something reckless. We might all die. Let's die in a nightclub in Sweden instead of dying in our house. So we always have chosen and defaulted to the brave choice. And part of me, maybe when we talk about excitement, I love when God or life or universe or whatever you want to call it gives me a chance to be brave. I love when he gives me an opportunity. Here's your chance to be brave, Andrew. Here's your chance to show you are that guy. Here's your chance to have another story where everyone else would have failed, you would have succeeded. Here is your chance to win. I love that. Because, you know, it's easy to fly around in private jets and stay in 5-star hotels with a bunch of beautiful women and drive Bugattis around. Cool. But where is the point where I get to actually prove I mean every word I say? So God gave it to me. So, yes, thank you. I agree. We agree. Thank you. And if God decides I have to go back, then the best mental model I can have is not the Romanian system of justice is unfair, it's corrupt, I got too big, the Matrix got me. No, the best mental model is God wants me to learn something here. And he's going to teach me that through suffering. He's going to make this difficult, and he's going to make me feel pain, and he's going to make this as hard as he decides it needs to be, so that I can sit here and learn things. So I'm going to go and sit with my cockroach friends, and I'm going to learn. I already learned things. I can tell you a bunch of things I learned. Even physical things. I would hunt cockroaches in the dark. At night. I would stand to kill them. I'd stand near the wall and I'd measure out a palm strike directly, exact measurement, so I didn't hurt my elbow or my hand, to the wall. And I'd just sit and just wait. And I'd hear them crawling. And in nearly pitch black, I could hear one in front of me. Bang! I got to the point where I could kill them. Ninja for real. I was like, I'm learning shit here. So that was fantastic. I learned. That's
anything about yourself.
This is again
New information. That's all. I mean, you must have, right? I mean, you had a new experience. So there must be new information. You got tested, right? You're in jail for fuck's sakes. Like something must have popped into your mind. There must have been some revelation, some edge that you came to. It had to be. No.
I'm exactly who I thought I was. I am 0% full of shit. I'm exactly who I thought I was. If you would have told me before I went to jail, before they put me in that dungeon, in the dark, with the cockroaches, if you would have told me how I would react to that scenario, I would have said to you, I would have suffered and it wouldn't have been nice, but I would have refused to break, and I would have been the kind of person who sat there and endured and emerged more powerful than ever before. That's what I would have said, and that's what I've done.
Yes.
That's exactly what I've done. So
That's not the question.
there may be, no, it's not. There may be a side order of nightmares. I learned, I've never had nightmares before in my life. That surprised me. But they're here now. That's life. I learned that, I guess. I learned that when I got out of jail. I didn't have nightmares in jail, which is strange. I had nightmares when I got out. Maybe it's fear of going back. Don't know. But what else did I learn about myself? I had already pre-decided and had already told the universe how I would act in said scenario. This scenario was not a scenario I hadn't discussed or didn't believe could happen to me. I had already analyzed, if this happens, what are you going to do? It was a pre-designated plan. And I just followed the plan I had already laid out for myself when I already psychoanalyzed myself without my qualifications. I had already decided what I must do, so I did it. And I was able and capable of following the plan and following through. So I'm not a liar. I'm 0% full of shit.
I hear you.
And if I was full of shit, I would sit here.
Nightmares though, but then there's something, and that's not full of shit, but just something happened.
Oh, completely.
Right, because you're having nightmares now. So something is going on that you don't like
Understand.
That's all I'm getting.
That's completely true. I performed exactly how I needed to perform and how I knew I would perform. So when I talk about being top G and mental control and depression is not real, everything I say is true. I performed exactly as I could. And I should. There is a side effect, which happens to be these nightmares. But my attitude towards the nightmares is, yes, thank you. Good. I don't want them to go away. They will go away when whatever needs to be dealt with is dealt with by my own mind. And like I said, if anyone else could fix them for me, I would not allow them to, because I believe it is my lesson, and it's my pain, and my trauma, and it's mine to deal with. And if I have to keep them forever, I'll keep them. I am not afraid of feeling negative. I'm not afraid of it. I'm not afraid of having nightmares. I don't wake up going, I want to feel good. I don't care. So if I have to feel miserable, it doesn't bother me. I don't see why. In fact, I'm going to change that. I don't see how you can put such importance on how you feel as a man, because it makes you non-competitive.
Well, but it makes you, what it does is it brings you into presence. And presence is the most powerful quality that you can have as a human being. And if you are not in touch with your feelings, if you disown them or you rationalize them in some way, you're not fully present.
Completely agree.
Right? So the reason we want to connect with the places we have fear or pain or sadness, right, or anger, whatever it is, it's not to feel it and let ourselves be a slave to it. It's just to let it come into our conscious awareness to know what it is. There's information, it's data, right? And if we can be present with all that we feel, right, we're much more powerful beings.
Now, it's super interesting you said that, because you're right. Because I wouldn't consider myself a present person. I am always thinking about what must be done. I'm thinking about
Interesting.
Always.
That you would confess that. You're not a present person.
No, I'm not present. If I'm present in the moment, I'm either on my computer talking to someone else millions of miles away, or dealing with something else, or I'm doing this podcast thinking about how I have to spar afterwards, and then I've got a friend coming at 8:15 tonight. I have to see. I'm not present because things must be done, and they must be organized. I'm not competitive if I'm present. I need to do things. Now, I'll agree with you. You're right. I'm very rarely present.
But here's my frame for presence, right? The reason I'm not all the way present, which is all the way here, is because there's something here that I don't want to feel.
No, I would say there's two scenarios in which I am very present. And we'll talk about them in a second. But I'm not a very present person. But I have sacrificed that idea of feeling presence and feeling happy in the moment for, let's say, absolute capability and legacy.
But would you agree that being more present would be giving more power?
In certain scenarios. Well, I think that might be the reason I love fighting so much, because that's the only time I feel present. Because I have to be right there. Because one, I'm in pain, and two, if I'm not, I'm going to be asleep.
Are you not present with me?
I am.
Are you present with me?
I'm paying attention. My brain's on. I'm paying attention.
See what happens. Just be here with me and don't stop thinking. Stop thinking.
I can't stop thinking.
Stop thinking. You can't stop thinking. If you can't stop thinking, you don't have control of your mind.
All right, cool. So I stopped thinking, but
And just be in a place where there's no thinking. And just feel yourself, who you are, and see what happens.
and I believe I am. But I'm saying generally in life, I wouldn't consider myself a present person. I'm not the person who is enjoying the moment. But I am now, because I'm focused. No, but now I'm focused.
But do you see the difference in the quality of the interaction we just had?
But what's okay? Let me ask
Do you see the difference though? Yeah. And how did that feel?
It felt fine. But what's the difference? Fine. What's the difference? But what's the difference?
Were we more connected in some way? Isn't there more possibility to get to something deeper or something more truthful there when your mind is not constantly running?
But I haven't lied to you.
I'm not saying you've lied to me. I'm not saying you've lied to me. Just there's other levels, there's other layers. Right?
Is there?
Is there? You get to it, that's why you fight. That's what you said, because it gets you out of your mind, fully in your body. And when you're fighting, you're in that zone. Some of their intelligence opens up, though. You're doing things. You can feel that guy. You can miss the punch by you don't even know why. Right? And so that is available all the time if you're willing to get present.
Does life require that degree of focus?
Not focus, present.
I know they're slightly different. Maybe I see them as the same. I don't see myself as a particularly present person. I do enjoy the presence of fighting. I do enjoy the presence of driving fast cars very fast. I'm thinking of it, just so you understand my mental model, when I think of guys, and I do know some who are like enjoying the moment, I very rarely enjoy the moment. Does that make sense? I don't ever, I'm sitting around and I'm like, yeah, I look around and go, I'm having fun. That's not how my brain works, ever.
That's so sad.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Perhaps it is. I don't know. I'm not going to say it is because I don't feel sad about it. But let's imagine it is sad. I have no fear of it. If someone were to say to me, Andrew, you're going to enjoy the moment less because you're constantly preoccupied with running an empire that most people wouldn't believe is as large as you say it is, even if you told them. And you're going to have unlimited offspring who adore you. And you're going to have unlimited female interaction from women who truly would die for you. And you're going to be one of the most respected men on the planet. And you're going to have street cred in every city from Baltimore to Berlin. And you're going to end up going through all these trials and tribulations, and they're going to talk about your name after you're dead for hundreds of years. But you're not going to be present in the moment. Would you take that? I always say, yes, sir, I will. Give that to me. I can't be present because there's too much happening. How can I be present? How can I be present with hundreds of millions of dollars and DCOT trying to put me in jail? And how can I be present? I've got things happening in my brain. I can't be present. I've got things to deal with. I've got problems. So I've sacrificed
Maybe you
presence.
have a mental model that says I can't be all the way present and do all of those things, and maybe that model is incorrect.
Well, presence is if you're truly present, then you're not worried about anything outside of the moment you're in.
Not necessarily.
How does that work? I'm interested.
Yeah, I mean, because the presence, right? You can let your consciousness go out, right? And you can be aware of everything, right?
I'm perspicacious is one of my favorite words. I am aware of what's happening. I'm just not particularly interested. So I will sit at a table where everyone's having a conversation, and I'll sit on my laptop, and I'll chime up once every hour. I hear every word. I've analyzed every word. I know who's right. I know who's wrong. I know what I could have said. I know whose brain I could have changed, what mind I could have affected. I've already considered if it's worth doing, but I'd rather do my work, and I'll ignore it all until I pop up and say 3 words and control the entire conversation and go back to my life. I'm aware of everything. I'm just not particularly present because I feel like I've built a life which is so large that it's hard for me to be present in the moment. I'm present with my children for hour or two, and then it's like, okay, back to work. So,
Was your father present with you?
no. But I don't think, but then this again,
I'm just saying, as a psychotherapist, when somebody said that, you said that, he wasn't present with you. That must have been,
that didn't bother me at all.
it didn't bother you?
He had things to do. He's a full-grown man.
I mean, we talk about the haircut tweak, but I didn't understand, your history that you were raised by a single mother. Your father wasn't around. Do you see him once a year?
About that. Yeah. When we lived in America up to the age of 11, I saw him more often, once or twice a month maybe, and then
When did it split?
I was 10. But I always understood he's very busy and has a lot to do. So I never.
Can you see how the boy might interpret that as my father doesn't care about me? You can see how, I understand you sitting here right now. Like you understand like a little boy
I think a little boy.
might think, where's daddy? I want daddy. I'm here alone with mom.
And he might be right because some fathers may not care. But my father did care. He was just very busy.
But it must have been confusing for you. Not for the little boy? No. Like bring.
I'm being honest. I'm being honest. It wasn't. I never for a
Or you cut off, or those feelings were so painful, overwhelming, you cut off from them so quickly and then created this mindset to deal with.
I never for a second felt like he didn't care about me, ever. I never felt that. It didn't cross my mind.
Like consciously.
Consciousness.
But is it possible that unconsciously you might have a different belief? And that on some level, some of what you're doing in the world is motivated by that, like wanting to win the love of your father?
I think that is semi-true, but I'll tell you. I think that's no. That's semi-true. That's semi-true because I believe I have a duty to my ancestors. I don't think it's coming from a place of I'm broken trying to fix myself. I think I have the last name Tate. It was bestowed upon me, and I have responsibilities to live up to the last name Tate. I do believe I have a duty to my ancestors. So is that trying to win the love of my father? Perhaps. I never felt unloved by my father, ever. In fact, I would argue I had the best father on earth. I never felt like I was owed all of his time. It was very clear to me at a young age that he's extremely busy and extremely important, and that I can earn his time, or that I can't have as much of it as I want.
You have to earn his time? That was a son should have to earn his father's time?
Yeah, why not?
Because he's a boy. True. And father's love should be, at least for a boy, unconditional in some way.
Love and time are not necessarily the same thing. If I told my father, I want to play chess, I want you to teach me chess, he could find 2 hours. If I said to Dad, I want to play video games, or let's watch TV together, he'd say, no, son, I have things to do. So, to a degree, I know his time. His time is valuable, it cannot be wasted. I feel like I have a duty to my ancestors. I don't feel like, and when I'm in jail, I feel like I can't disappoint him. And I feel like I do good for the world. I don't think this is me being some kind of broken secret. This is where we're going to disagree. You're going to think I'm some broken child inside or something. Okay, well, the inner child, or I'm guessing. But
Well, yes, inner child.
okay, I don't think it's anything to do with it. I think it's duty. I think I have duty and I have honor.
Yeah, I understand you have duty as a man, but that doesn't mean the inner child is not there. And I guess that's, if the inner child has been disowned in some way, or his feelings have been, relegated to the unconscious, like that's impacting you, that's affecting you. And knowing what those feelings are and how they impact you, I think, would be important information.
But I was never sad. I can't say I had a hard childhood. I can't say I was sad. I can't say I wish he was different. Once again, let me psychoanalyze myself. Once again, this might be rationale. I might be rationalizing. I might say, well, whatever happened made me the person I am today, and I love who I am today, so I'm glad it was the way it was. Perhaps. But once again, I think that puts me in the correct mental framework to be as capable as possible. I'm not going to sit here and say, I wish my dad did something else. But what's the point? That's asinine.
Both things can be true, though. I wanted to see my father more. I wish he was there. And he wasn't, and now I'm here, and I'm going to make the best of it, and this is the result of that. I turned myself into this beast because of it. I mean, you made the most of the situation, but that doesn't discount the place where you may have wanted more from him. You may have wanted more love, more connection, just more time.
I think my father did, one, the best he knew how to do, and second, he did exactly what was necessary to make me the person I am.
Would it be okay for you to be angry with your father?
No, absolutely not. No, disrespectful.
Why not? Why?
Because he's my father.
But I'm not saying that you would have to confront him. I mean, obviously he's not here, but it's just like.
That's selfish.
But if it's just a feeling, right? If it's just a feeling that wants to come.
Ungratefulness.
Well, you're judging the feeling.
Yeah, I am. For me to sit and say to the man who made me the man I am today, who I, once again, never felt unloved by, who tried his very best to raise me, who sacrificed for me to exist, who gave me my last name, who bestowed upon me the honors and principles and morals I live by today. For me to be angry at him because he was busy some days would be brutally ungrateful. No, I'm not allowed. No, I'm not allowed that feeling. It's ungrateful. I refuse to accept it. I refuse to feel it. I truly believe I had the best father on earth. I truly believe it. I don't believe, even now, if I have sons, I don't talk about what children I have publicly, if I have sons or when I have sons or my sons I have, whichever one it is, they will get my time, sure. They will get my dedication, absolutely. But I have expectations of them because of their last name. And they're going to have my time while we're working towards something fantastic. I'm not going to just sit around with my kids just for hours because they just deserve it. There's no participation trophies in the Tate household. And time is a trophy, and it must be earned, like everything else in life. So I'm not going to sit and have sons and go, well, he's my son, so we're just going to all day do fucking nothing. No, we're going to all day do something important. Or I'm going to go do something important. And he can sit around and do nothing by himself.
For sure. But you can also imagine if you had sons and you saw them once a year, that would have an impact. Like, how would you feel about that? If you had sons and you only saw them once a year?
I think I'd miss them, of course. They'd miss me.
I bet your dad missed it.
Oh, completely. Absolutely.
I bet he was sad there.
Oh, completely.
And I wonder if he had self-judgment about it. I wonder if he questioned himself.
Well, I think as a man,
I don't think, would you do that?
well, as a man, you have to make a choice, and I think it used to be more binary than it is today because of the nature of money and empire and how things work. But as a man, you have to make a choice. You either go to war and come back with stories, or you sit at home all day and be a second mother, and then you're not a man. You have to find the balance between the two, right? My father was away a lot, but he wasn't away a lot because he was doing nothing, right? So if you have a soldier as a father, okay, he's not there, but he's doing something. He's coming back with a story, and I think that was typical in a lot of households for a very long time. Maybe it's changed a little bit in modern times, but typically the man went away, did whatever he had to do, and then came back with a story or a hunt or whatever. So that's how I saw my father living his life, and that's how I want to live my life. I will do the same thing. I don't think I would be the same man if I decided to say, okay, I have a son now, so I'm just going to stay at home. And I think that I need to be a kind of man my son wants to emulate, which means I have to be a hero, and I don't think you can be a hero sitting at home. So I think that I need to, yeah, he needs time, of course he does, but he also needs an example set, and that example must be set out there in the harsh, brutal realities of the real world. So Yeah, it's time. You could now the argument is quantity of time versus quality of time, and I would argue that the quality of time I would give my sons is going to be much higher than another.
You would want to give them.
Oh, completely.
You want to give your sons more quality time than you had with your.
I'll give him the exact same amount as he gave you.
Will you? Would you not want to give them more?
I may want to. I didn't say I wanted to. That's smart. I didn't say I wanted to.
You didn't?
No.
You must have.
No, I'm saying that
What's time with his daddy? How can? I mean, it has to be true.
if I wanted it, I could have earned it anytime I wanted.
Well, are you sure about that? I'm pretty sure. I mean, when we go, I mean, I don't know if we need to read the tweet, but it's like, your mom was pretty upset with him. So he's like, I'm not coming back here. And it wasn't just about you, it was about your mother.
Oh, completely. And I think my father sacrificed his marriage for us boys. He sacrificed his marriage and his relationship with my mother to ensure that us boys were taught the way he believed we should be raised. My mom was very unhappy with certain things he did, which he insisted on doing anyway because he saw his legacy in us as more important than his marriage with my mother. But I'm not saying, look, if my son calls me and says, I'm really upset and I want to talk to you, I'm not going to say, no, you can't talk to me. I'm not psychic, right? I understand all of these things. I'm just saying, obviously we're talking about a very general scenario. The general scenario is, I'm a man, I'm away at war, I come home with a story, or if I'm spending time with my son, I want us to be building him as an individual. I believe that a mother does a lot of the day-to-day keeping the child alive, changing diapers, feeding them, etc. And the man is the one who instills a lot of the mindset, and the man is the one who grows them in very important ways. And I think to do that, I need to be a man of genuine capability, and I would argue that the 2 hours a month or 2 hours a week or whatever I spent with my father, him being the man he was worth more than the 200 hours a month that most men spend with their fathers. That's why I am the man I am. So there'll be some fathers who sit and say, I could never do that to my son. Well, what can you do? You can go, do fucking basically nothing with your life, pay your taxes, come home, be bitched at by your wife, be quiet about it, and be with your son all the time. Sure, you win in quantity of time. But who you are as a man, and what the lessons you can really teach, you lose in quality of time. So I believe my father was such a fantastic figure that it's the quality of his time that made up for the quantity, and the only way to do that is to go out in the world and be fantastic. And we can actually extrapolate this out to other things. Let's look at relationships, for example. I see men who spend every day with their woman. That's fantastic. That's fine. That's how he elicits her love and her attention. I'm completely. That's how that's how my brain works. I see men who spend every day with a woman, which is fantastic. He wants to, she wants to, that's great, they're happy. She feels loved and she feels respected and she's glad she has all of his time. When you reach a certain quality of man, a certain level of man in terms of competence, a certain echelon, I don't have to spend all day with her. I can see a woman 1 hour a month and she'll be with me because I'm me. Because the quality of who I am, the quality of my time outweighs the quantity which can be offered by a lesser being. So you can put this in nearly any dynamic. You can put it in a romantic relationship and also in a family dynamic. Once you reach a certain level of competence, once you're at the highest echelons of human achievement, your time is, by extension, more valuable and it extrapolates out. An hour with the president is worth more than 100 hours with a guy at McDonald's. It's the same. So I think my father raised me by not being. He raised me by being out there and doing so many fantastic things and being such a fantastic individual that I understood I had a duty to him and a duty to my last name, and I can't be his son and not be fantastic. So I think he raised me in absence. That's what I think he did.
You're proud of yourself that you got there. You won that one. That's actually a fair argument. That would be the argument about God's will. That was God's will. And so I have to surrender to it, and this is what it is, and my task is to deal with it. Maybe there are feelings you have about it that you don't fully understand, but that's okay. You know, you're here now, and you're doing your thing, and you're living your life, and it's all good. So let me ask you, maybe this will be the last question.
I can go forever, so you tell me. And I am, and the reason I wanted to talk to you is because I genuinely did want to learn about myself.
Yeah, I know.
And I do like discussing these things, and like I said, I'm being as vulnerable as I can be. I'm not, if you feel like I'm shielding, I'm truly not trying to.
Well, when we shield, it's so habitual, it's so quick. Right, our defense is, I mean, we become identified with our defenses, so we don't even know when we're doing it.
That's true, but I also feel like the framework that I've instilled, the rational mind, everything is going through this filter. This is how my brain operates. My filter is brutal rationality. That's the filter. So no matter what we're discussing or any conversation we're having, it has to go through this filter, and I end up rationalizing because that's the way I've always functioned. And so I can't turn off that. I can't start saying things that don't make sense to me.
Yes, and what I'm also aware of is that I am bringing my own filter, and you're open to it. You're not closed off to it. You're listening. You're curious about it. So I sense that too, and I appreciate that. You know, you identify, you talk about yourself as a man of capability, a man of courage, right? Man of action. Are you a man of love?
I think a lot of those things come from love. Let's analyze this. I think a lot of those things come from love. I think it's very difficult to do nearly anything important if it's not, perhaps to a degree, driven by love, or the desire for love, even. I think the reason a lot of men want to become rich is because they want to feel loved, or feel important, or to matter. I also feel like the reason that a lot of men do the things they do is for love, either of themselves or of someone else. I think the reason men go to work is because they love their family. The reason you go to the gym is because you love yourself. I think that love is a very powerful driving force. I certainly feel love. My world is full of love. Like, I would argue I'm one of the most loved people on the planet. Like, if I check my phone, it's just love. It's endless emails of people I don't know who love me, endless females who do know me love me, endless pictures of children saying they miss me. Like, I'm a very loved person in a very loved world. I love a lot of people.
You love.
I absolutely love. But because I believe in myself so strongly, I feel like the way I love them is to have a degree of authority over them. Not in a crazy psychopathic way, but in a I love you, so you should do this. I love you, so act this way. I love you, so don't do that. Almost in the same way a parent loves a child. You love your child, so you don't let them eat candy all day, because you love them. I'm like that with everyone in my life, because I see myself as the most competent person on the planet. So I'm like, I love you, I care about you. You shouldn't do this way, because you may think you know better, but you don't. You don't know better than me. I know best, and this is how it should be for anyone I care about.
I guess the reason I asked the question is, can you defeat the Matrix by fighting it? Or can you only defeat the Matrix through love?
Absolutely, that's a very astute question, and you're asking because you already know the answer.
And you already know.
Of course, only love can. Only love can. And it's the most powerful driving force on the face of the planet. It always has been. And it's only when people are going to wake up and have a true love for themselves and love for their community and love for their children and love for these things that we're going to start to resist the evil and the Satanism and the insanity which is coming in the world today. But I believe, as a man at least, your love only has value when you're capable. Which is why perhaps I'm so obsessed with capability, because I want my love to have value. We talked about how time has value when you're at a certain echelon, and I would also argue that love has value when you're at a certain echelon. If I'm in love with a girl, she can get a lot more from that love than if a Joe Schmoes would, right? So my love has value because I have value. So I have to build myself, and especially as a man, if you want to feel love and you want to give love, the more capable you become, the more valuable your love's going to be, and that's certainly how we're going to fix the world. So yeah, the answer is love, of course, but it can't just be blind, empty love. It has to be love that is backed by a brutal, harsh capability, which is born in the worst scenarios you're going to endure as a man. And the world at its baseline is a very brutal place. It can be. And I think that becoming comfortable with those scenarios and becoming capable in those scenarios is how you give your love deep, true value. But I think that, yeah, love is the answer. Right, love is the answer. But I don't want to end, I don't want, love, but we have to make this clear, because most people misunderstand what love is. No, because you say love is the
Not
answer.
coming from you. I don't think they're going to misunderstand it coming from you. And I guess this is it. Like, maybe this is it. Maybe this is what people want more from you. Right? They want your love. They want to feel your love. I see it. Right? Like, I can feel it coming off you, but I'm not, like, I see your sense of humor. I see how you work. So I don't feel threatened by you. Right? I feel like I understand you in some way, but a lot of people can't. I think that to me is the problem in the world right now, is that people cannot feel the Father's love.
I agree with you.
And if they could feel that, and also the firmness, also the direction, all the things you're talking about, the discipline. But if they can't feel the Father's love, I mean, that's God's love coming through. And the Father is the embodiment of God on earth. If they can't feel that love, then we're going to have a lot of fucking problems.
But that's super interesting because they've hijacked the word love now, and they've confused the word love with tolerance and a complete lack of boundaries. And they're saying, if you're a loving person, you accept all this garbage. No, I disagree with that. You just said a very important thing. You said Father's love. A father's love comes with tests and trials and tribulations. What does a dad even traditionally do for his son? Take him out there, push him in the pool, let him struggle a bit, get him out. Put him on the bike, let him fall over, help him get up. You have to go through the bad things to be rewarded and the bad things to learn. That's how a father typically loves. And a father also loves by saying no. No, you cannot do that. So you nailed it about how society needs a father's love. Completely true. And society has actually hijacked the word love and tried to convince you that you don't need the father's love. Perhaps you need this unconditional love, which is more like a mother's love, if you want to gender it, perhaps. So it's unconditional. You can act without honor, you can act without courage, you can act without discipline, and you'll be loved anyway just because you exist. I don't believe that for myself. I believe if I remove all my morality, I will not just be loved by default, not by my family, not by God, not by society. I don't believe that. And the people who do believe that, who think I should be loved just for existing, regardless of how I act and what I think, those are some of the most evil people on the planet. I truly believe. And they're also some of the most unsuccessful and unspectacular. And they're the people who are out here genuinely trying to change society in a direction which has never been tested, which I believe is going to lead down to the depths of hell. Truly. I think it's evil. So yeah, I agree with you. Father's love is important, but love in and of itself has boundaries. Love is strict. Love is hard. Love is a hard emotion. Love is fierce. Love is not an emotion of, oh, do whatever you want. It's the opposite. Love is, no, you have to do this. I believe love is a very hard, very strong emotion. And if I think of how, let's say I have two women, one I love, one I don't love, and I enjoy both of their company, I'm harder on the one I love. I expect more from her in terms of how she acts. I expect more from her in terms of how she speaks to me. I expect more from her in how she presents herself to the world. The more I love her, the more I expect of her, the more parameters I want to put on her in regards to how she should behave, because I love her. Love is a hard emotion. So yeah, love wins, but not in the way that people think love. They've hijacked the word love and convinced people that love means, oh, I tolerate everything. That's not love.
I agree, and it goes back to this, what we were talking about, presence. I wonder, I'm just having this thought now, that if we come all the way into presence, if we allow ourselves to be all the way here and feel everything that's here, that is actually the thing that we would feel, love. Like God, which is, you could say God is love. And maybe, that's the scariest thing. That's the edge. Because if we're fully surrendered to that, like we're in that flow state, that with the disillusion of the ego, letting go of all the things that we have, and we have to be in that place. And so maybe that to me is like, you know, if you want to defeat the Matrix, right? If you want to become Neo, I think that's what it is.
Interesting. And what I will do, and I'll take away from this conversation, is I definitely have moments of presence. I mean, I'm human. I do have like a couple of minutes where I sit and look around and go, you know, like all that, of course. But I will perhaps try and dedicate a little bit more time. Maybe I can turn I'll see if I can allocate 3 minutes instead of 2 towards presence and see how that makes me feel overall. It's interesting that you said when you're present you feel love. I actually completely agree with that. I can't think of a time I've been present and felt anything other than gratefulness. Just to look around and go, you know what? Yeah, everything's fine. In fact, even in jail, I had moments of presence, and I looked around and go, this is not nearly as bad as like the media's saying it is, and the women on the phone are crying, and everyone's panicking. You know what? I'm not in a trench. I'm probably not going to get blown up. If a fire started, could I get through that steel door? If anyone could, it's me. I'm not on a submarine in World War II. There's no depth charges. I'm not in a car crash. It's fine. Cup of tea. It's fine. I did have those moments, right? So when you come to a moment, of presence, even in a terrible scenario, it often ends up love. You're right. And I certainly have felt them, and I certainly could do it. My rationality, my argument would be, does that make me more powerful? You're arguing it does, and maybe perhaps I need to try it. Whereas I would typically up until this conversation, I would say, I don't have time for that. I have things to do. So that's where it all comes down to. And then it comes down to, like I said earlier, am I here as a human to enjoy my experience as a human and enjoy being in this vessel and have as much fun as possible and be as present as possible? Or am I here to make the biggest impact I can possibly make and build a legacy? And of course, probably, like most things in life, the answer is somewhere in between the two. It's probably some balance. Perhaps I'm slightly out of balance, and that's why I am living the life I am. But I'm not unhappy with it. And if I was unhappy with it, it wouldn't change anything. But I actually do consider myself, I do genuinely consider myself one of, because I put no importance on emotion. And when I say that, I try and make people understand that when I say no importance, it doesn't affect how I act, so I don't see the point in talking about it. Or I don't see the point in even acknowledging it, because it doesn't affect what I'm going to do for the day. So who cares, right? It doesn't matter if it's sunny or rainy. If you're going to go to work, you're going to go to work, so why talk about the weather? So I don't put any importance on emotion. But I would actually call myself one of the happiest people on earth. Not because I'm particularly happy, but because I'm just never sad. So if it's never dark, it must be light. If it's never cold, it must be hot. So when I would say I'm one of the happiest people on earth, and people think, oh, he's happy all the time. No, I'm just never sad. Never. So if you're never sad, you're always happy. Another thing I'll actually argue. Not get out this early. Not get out this easy.
Oh, they got away with a win there.
I would actually argue that
Why are you arguing? What are you arguing?
because maybe you won't disagree with me. Okay, I would also like to. I will just explain. When we're talking about how I built my mental model and how I rationalize everything, one of the things I've done when I rationalize is I've changed the boundary of what I believe happy to be. So let's say happiness is this line on this table, right? Most people, this is the full spectrum of human emotion. This is absolute distraught because your parents just died, and this is extremely happy and giddish and you're laughing and jumping around like a child for whatever reason. Most people would probably put happy somewhere up here near the top. Whereas I've just changed that bar, and I've just said, unless I'm truly distraught, unless I'm actually at the point where I can barely speak, let's move happiness down to here. Unless I'm truly distraught and something really bad's happened to me, I've already passed the threshold. I'm just a different level of happy. Now, the more I talk to you, the more I realize that a lot of what I've done are just simply semantic tricks. They're language tricks. I've changed language tricks. If I'm not absolutely distraught, I am some version of happy, therefore I'm the happiest man on earth because I'm always some level of happy. It's semantic tricks, but if it works, I mean, it can be a cheap language trick, but if the cheap language trick works, then it's more than a cheap language trick. So I've also changed what I believe happy to be. I think that there's probably 5 or 6 times in your adult life you're going to be unhappy, and the rest of the time you're just a different level of happy. Maybe less happy, more happy, but you're all at some point of happy. If you can speak, you're happy enough, because when you're truly upset, you can't even talk. That's what I like.
Is that enough?
It's interesting, yeah, because
So here, you want me to tell you what I noticed? It is hard for you to stay present, right? Like you come present, and then you go to a thought, you go to an idea, and you talk, and it's very convincing, it's very persuasive, and you're asserting your worldview, your frame of reality, which, but like sometimes like I lose you there. Like I'm like, where are you? Like there's words, but I can't feel you entirely. You know what I mean? And I want to like feel you.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
I understand. But I don't think.
But just stay with that. Just stay in that. Like don't let your mind go. Just stay in the feeling. Yeah, don't go off with the thought.
So what am I feeling right now? Let me.
Just stay with me. Just stay with me and be present in the experience with no words and see what happens. Like something will change in how we relate to each other. Something will soften. Like if you let yourself soften and just be with me, right? Which is kind of a weird experience for 2 men to have, right? But it's actually what children long for with their father. It's actually what we long for is deeper levels of connection. You just let yourself be here with me and just see what happens.
So then what are we going to talk about?
We don't have to talk about anything. Doesn't it feel good to feel another man? Like just to feel the strength, like without the words, without that layer of thought and dialogue and discussion. Come back. Come back.
I'm thinking.
Come back. Don't think. Don't think. You don't have to. You don't have to. Speak it. This is the place you get to fight. It feels good.
It's true, but
Doesn't it feel good?
Yes, but there's an action involved. Like I can feel everything about the person I'm fighting, whether it's good or bad. I can feel if I've hurt them or not. I don't get to punch you.
you know,
It's been good fun, and I feel like I've learned some things, and I feel like we need to do it again.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was fun. I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is Jocko Podcast number 291 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo. Good evening. Your responsibilities may involve the command of more traditional forces, but in less traditional roles. Men risking their lives not as combatants, but as instructors or advisors, or as symbols of our nation's commitments. The fact that the United States is not directly at war in these areas in no way diminishes the skill and the courage that will be required, the service to our country which is rendered, or the pain of the casualties which are suffered. To cite one final example of the range of responsibilities that will fall upon you, you may hold a position of command with our special forces, forces which are too unconventional to be called conventional, forces which are growing in number and importance and significance, for we now know that it is wholly misleading to call this the nuclear age, or to say that our security rests only on the doctrine of massive retaliation. Korea has not been the only battleground since the end of the Second World War. Men have fought and died in Malaya, Greece, the Philippines, Algeria, and Cuba, and Cyprus, and almost continuously on the Indo-Chinese Peninsula. No nuclear weapons have been fired. No massive nuclear retaliation has been considered appropriate. This is another type of war, new in its intensity, ancient in its origin. War by guerrillas, subversives, insurgents, assassins. War by ambush instead of by combat, by infiltration instead of aggression. Seeking victory by eroding and exhausting the enemy instead of engaging him. It is a form of warfare uniquely adapted to what has strangely been called wars of liberation, to undermine the efforts of new and poor countries to maintain the freedom that they have finally achieved. It preys on economic unrest and ethnic conflicts. It requires in those situations where we must counter it. And these are the kinds of challenges that will be before us in the next decade if freedom is to be saved. A whole new kind of strategy, a wholly different kind of force, and therefore a new and wholly different kind of military training. And that right there was an excerpt from a speech by John F. Kennedy to the 1962 graduating class of West Point, United States Military Academy, and that same year he also released a message to the U.S. Army. And that message read, to the United States Army, another military dimension, guerrilla warfare, has necessarily been added to the American profession of arms. The literal translation of guerrilla warfare, a little war, is hardly applicable to this ancient, but at the same time, modern threat. I note that the Army has several terms which describe the various facets of the current struggle: wars of subversion, covert aggression, and in broad professional terms, special warfare or unconventional warfare. By whatever name this militant challenge to freedom calls for an improvement and enlargement of our own development of techniques and tactics, communications and logistics to meet this threat. The mission of our armed forces, and especially the Army today, is to master these skills and techniques and to be able to help those who have the will to help themselves. Pure military skill is not enough. A full spectrum of military, paramilitary, and civil action must be blended to produce success. The enemy uses economic and political warfare, propaganda, and naked military aggression in an endless combination to oppose a free choice of government and suppress the rights of the individual by terror, by subversion, and by force of arms. To win in this struggle, our officers and men must understand and combine the political, economic, and civil actions with skilled military efforts in the execution of this mission. The Green Beret is again becoming a symbol of excellence, a badge of courage, a mark of distinction in the fight for freedom. I know the United States Army will live up to its reputation for imagination, resourcefulness, and spirit as we meet this challenge. Signed, John F. Kemp. So, Green Berets, the U.S. Army Special Forces, were formed for this new type of warfare. Well, I guess as JFK said, new in its intensity, but ancient in its origin. And today, almost 60 years since JFK made these statements, there's a new generation of soldiers that have trained incessantly to fight this new type of warfare. And we're honored to have one of those soldiers here tonight with us to share some of his experiences. He served in the U.S. Army Special Forces, worked as a contractor for some government agencies, and has continued to hone his skills and teach others through his company, Fieldcraft Survival. His name is Mike Glover. Mike, thanks for coming out, man.
Thanks for having me on. It's an honor. Happy to be here.
Green Berets,
Green Berets.
the deal.
What kind of a big deal? I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah, you know, obviously, the SEAL community gets quite a bit of, flack because we're like, I guess for lack of a better word, kind of popular right now.
Yes.
But people seem to forget there was the Green Beret movie way before. And then I was thinking about the actual Delta Force movie the other day, which was way before anybody knew anything about the SEAL team. So anyways, let's get to it, man. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to how you grew up, where you're from. What turned you into you?
Ooh, conception in Korea, actually.
Conceived in Korea.
Conceived in Korea. My dad was a Joe, an Army kid.
What do you do? What do you do?
So he had two MOSs. He was a 95 Bravo, which is a military police officer, and a field artillery guy.
What years was he in?
Late 70s into the mid 80s.
Okay.
His stint was.
Did he go to Vietnam?
He did. He was in high school during Vietnam, and then by the time he got out, the war had been fought. It was over.
But he got stationed in Korea at some point.
Yeah, I got stationed in Korea and met my beautiful mother at a very young age. She was 18 years old, and then they had me at 19.
Wait, how old was he?
25,
Okay.
24, and just living his best life, doing the Army thing. We actually moved to California, to Fort Ord, California, when I was born. Looks like it's not on the apocalypse there now. The actual base, Fort Ord, looks like a sim sheet house.
Did it get shut down?
It did. They shut down all the buildings, condemned them, but it's still open. Like you could drive through it publicly, so there's no gates. And stationed in Germany for a period of time with my dad as a young child, and then parents separated. So got to come to Daytona Beach, Florida, where I was basically raised.
Going with who? Who'd you go with, mom or dad?
I went with dad. Mom didn't speak any English. Met a guy in Germany. Wound up getting back over to the U.S. where I spent time between Florida and North Carolina, splitting the difference growing up.
Were you looking at the Army like good deal? Were you around the Army all the time when you were a little bit older?
Yeah, it's like us. You know, we live, these civilian lives now, but there's always this evidence that we serve in some capacity. So I saw that evidence as a child. My dad had, you know, the dog tags, the pictures, the military gear. I remember playing with his TA-50, his old military gear, his mess kit, and all of his LBE and all the old stuff that we had, the webbing. And I just kind of knew growing up in that environment that I was going to be in the military. His brother was a career Navy guy. So I was, you know, growing up with Charlie Sheen and Navy SEALs and Chuck Norris and Delta Force, and kind of immersed in that, and decided at a very young age, I mean, man, as young as I can remember, that's all I'm going to do is the military.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I always say, people are like, when did you make that decision? I'm like, I don't know, because I just remember wanting to wear camouflage uniforms as a little kid. Yeah, that's what I remember. But you were mostly growing up in Daytona Beach?
Yeah, Daytona Beach, and then splitting the difference between North Carolina. My mom actually settled right outside of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, which I spent a long time.
What year were you born?
80.
So you're growing up. So now this is like the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here talking to you, and for some reason in my mind, I'm thinking I'm talking to like an older person.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking in my mind like, oh, it was the 50s. I don't know why I'm thinking that. Because
JFK, that's
yeah,
why.
I guess I just read JFK, so I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is the 50s. Then I started thinking to myself, wait a second. This is like, I was already in the Navy when you were a freaking teenager or whatever. So you're growing up in the 90s.
90s. What year did you go to the Navy?
1990.
90, okay. Yeah, I was 10.
Yeah.
I was 10. Wow. Nah. Now I feel young all of a sudden.
Yeah. So what are you doing in Daytona Beach? What's the scene down there? Are you in the water? Are you surfing? Are you listening to music? What are you listening to?
No, my dad jokes and says that I was a park fish because I was always in the water. I mean, I remember training. I wanted to be a Navy SEAL when I first started thinking about the military. My uncle was very pro-Navy, obviously. My dad was pro-Navy. And I remember jumping and diving in the pools and doing underwater UDT challenges, like tying knots. You know, there was no Discovery Channel, or there was no representation mainstream of what Navy SEALs did. It was UDT, it was Charlie Sheen, Navy SEALs. So I wanted to do that, but I grew up in the water, outdoor fishing. I grew up on a boat. I mean, I think I was out. We probably fished 4 days a week.
What was your dad's civilian job?
So he immediately transferred from the military and worked for the Department of Corrections with the state of Florida. So he started doing corrections at an early age, right out of the military, which transitioned his retirement benefits, a whole bunch of cool stuff for him. And that's all I remember doing.
And then are you, is there another, like, did he get remarried or something? Who's taking care of you when he's at work?
Yeah, I mean, if I can reflect on that time period, I think I did a lot of taking care of myself. But I was super independent. I was an only child, so it was just me, you know. So growing up, I had a good imagination. I was very responsible as a kid. I don't remember getting in trouble. I wasn't in bars, wasn't into weed, all the typical things that kids are into. I remember like doing CONOP, like concept of the operation plans and briefs, as a 10-year-old. I had a toy MP5 and planning ops, getting Gucci'd out and geared up, and then doing these like low-vis operations at night. And then even AAR, I didn't even know what an AAR was, and after I actually did, I would come back and like, let's talk about it. Like weird stuff. Who's we? Like all my friends.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was just that kid.
Hey, what about the fact that your parents got divorced? Did you have like animosity towards your dad or towards your mom, or did you just kind of, because, you know, when divorce happens at a young age, sometimes kids can't understand it, and it makes them, you know, I guess have some kind of animosity towards one parent or the other. Sounds like you were pretty, maybe kind of, because you can also, when you get older, you go, yeah, you know what, they just, you know, they did this when they were too young, or they didn't get along, they weren't quite a good fit, and I get it, and we're going to carry on.
Yeah, that was me, man. I just never I never developed animosity for any of my parents based on the things they weren't potentially doing right. I don't know if it was because I was taught not to judge people and even my family and the circumstance I was in. What I looked at, it was a very adaptive opportunity for me to go to different places, meet different family members, and then have these cool experiences. I mean, I grew up in North Carolina with my cousins, running the streets, playing war, shooting BB guns, and then I come back to Florida, and then I was hanging out with my dad, fishing, outdoors, on the beach, in the water. And so I had a really good childhood. Despite the problem that was separation, which eventually at the age of 12 winded up moving back to my mom's, taking advantage of opportunities there.
Well, what were the opportunities there?
So, when I went, obviously my mom and dad are in kind of like cahoots in competition with each other because they want to have me, you know? And so I'm going back and forth, getting spoiled in separate ways. But I remember actually a summer of like when I was 12 or 13, my mom trying to convince me that, hey, you know, your dad just met a new woman, which he did, which was going to be my stepmom. She had 3 kids at the time. And then it's an allocation of resources, right? When you have 3 new children in the home, you don't get taken care of like you used to. And so I was like, maybe I want to give my mom a chance and live with my mom, and it's a good situation. So I just said, Dad, I'm just going to live with my mom. And he was, I remember painfully, he was bummed out. I don't think I've ever heard my dad cry or saw him cry. And I think he was crying on the phone when I told him that. And it created a divide because I was his only baby boy. But he had children to take care of. He had a newborn with the woman that he was with. And I knew he had this life, this vertical he had to concentrate on. So I lived with my mom. And then, you know, in North Carolina, and she wasn't wealthy at all. She was an entrepreneur, small business beauty salon. We were struggling. I thought it was going to be like, oh, this is cool because my mom buys me crap all the time. My dad never buys me stuff. And so I went into that opportunity and realized, hey, I mean, me and my mom are going to have to fend for ourselves.
Was she with another guy at this point?
She was with my stepdad. She eventually met my stepdad at 15. She had a boyfriend at the time, named Alex, who's a good dude that she had met in Germany, had brought her over. But she was trying to find her way. I mean, I don't even think, and this is honest reflection, I don't think I had shoes until I was like 14. Like I had flip-flops. It was like she didn't have a car until I was 15 because she couldn't afford a car. So we didn't have a lot of things that were basics because she was grinding as an entrepreneur. But that taught me more about life moving forward, being adaptive, and eventually becoming a military leader. I think a lot of those experiences come from that.
You said, first of all, it's pretty amazing how you were kind of detached and able to not be emotional about these decisions and stuff as a kid. You also said, hey, I was taught not to judge people. Who taught you that?
I grew up as a Baptist, and I'm not a super religious person. I never have been, but I've questioned. I remember crying as a kid when I was in my bed trying to think about what the next step was for people. Like, what happens when you die? I remember this thought because it stuck with me. I said to myself in my head, I said, wait a minute. If God's Jesus' father, then who's God's father? And there was this void in my brain. I'm like, oh my God, I can't figure this out. And I remember being distraught. And so religion kind of brought that together for me. So I grew up like a Christian, non-denominational, and was taught a lot of values that way. Also, my dad's a military-minded guy. So discipline, integrity, honor, all those things were instilled at me at a young age too.
And then at what point did you, because you were in the water all the time, and it seems like that would be a good call to go in the Navy and try and go in the SEAL teams. What made you make the decision to go in the Army instead?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I never been asked that, but specifically I know the exact moment. I was on the steps of my grandma's house in Daytona Beach, and my uncle, who was still active Navy, had just come back from being on the water in the fleet. And I was talking to him about being a Navy SEAL. And he said, listen, I know you're torn between the two. Do you want to be a Marine? Do you want to be a Navy SEAL? And for a kid, it's like, it's a choice, but you don't realize the progress that you have to go through. And so I'm like, so what happens if I fail? If I go to selection and go to BUD/S, if I fail, what happens? He goes, you're mopping the deck forever. He goes, and then he told me about the whole recruitment. He actually tried out for BUD/S and didn't make it when he was young in the Navy. And he said, hey, there's a whole bunch of guys I served with that didn't make it, that fill all the slots in the Navy that nobody else wants to do. And I'm like, so what happens if I'm in the Army? And then my dad was there to educate me. He says, listen, you can be an airborne ranger. You pass ranger school. You go to selection. You don't make it. You're still an airborne ranger. Combat arms. And I'm like, well, I just want to be in the fight. And I made the decision right there in that moment. It was like, okay, let me see the path that leads me to be a special forces guy. When I was 10 years old, I knew that my dad was going to be a Green Beret.
Damn.
Bet him an MP5. Bet him an MP5 ST.
Did he pay up?
No, I had to buy it myself. I had to buy it myself. He couldn't buy me a Phoenix Arms 22 right now.
The fact that the fact that you were able to calculate that is incredible. When I was freaking, you know, I think I was 18 when I joined, but I might have been 17 on that program. Anyways, I was young, but I was older than you were at age 10.
Yeah.
And I didn't even figure out that, hey, that thing never came into my mind. What if you don't make it?
Yeah.
Which is a stupid thing to be thinking, because there's
Yeah.
an 80% attrition rate in buds, and it's totally, it's the worst. I mean, look, here's what's the worst. If you join the Navy because you want to be a mechanic or you want to be work on aviation equipment, that's awesome. The Navy's freaking a great place to get those kind of jobs that are sort of like industrial blue collar jobs. The Navy's freaking awesome for that. You want to, like I said, you want to be a diesel mechanic, bro, go join the Navy. You'll get awesome experience of that. You want to learn about communication systems, technical stuff, the Navy's great. But the type of person that wants to be a SEAL doesn't want to do those kind of things
Yes.
at all, at least as far as I can tell. So, but that's what you're going to end up as. And so it's really a bad deal if you don't make it. It's not going to be fun.
What's worse too, you train up for that job before you used to, right? You used to train up for that job.
Yeah.
So then, what's a good thing is you see how much that job potentially sucks.
Yeah.
So when you go into buds, that's your motivation. I don't want to go back to that thing, that vocational thing.
No, it's crazy. And the other thing that's really good about the Army and the Marine Corps is you get all this fundamental, basic infantry, small unit training before you go to special operations training. So in the SEAL teams, you don't have it. You don't have this sort of base of knowledge of fundamental small unit tactics like you have in the Army and in the Marine Corps. So, how old are you when you enlist?
17. Yeah, I joined when I was 17.
And go to boot camp, got what you expected?
Yeah, I went to infantry boot camp, went to Sand Hill, became a 11 Bravo. I actually signed up to be an airborne ranger, option 4 contract, which is known as the option to the ranger time.
Oh, so that means you're going to a battalion.
Yeah, I was set to go to the time. But what I signed up for as an MOS was called 11 X-ray. And 11 X-ray is similar to the 18 X-ray, where the X stands for they fill the gap. They decide what they want to be. So back in the day, it's not like it's now. Back in the day, there was 4 different specialties. 11 Bravo, Delta, Mike, and or not Mike, not Delta, but Mike, and Hotel. So if you were 11 Bravo, infantry. If you're a Charlie, mortar. If you're a Mike, like heavy wheeled mechanized vehicles. If you're a hotel, heavy armor, like riding on Humvees. So basically an infantryman with different skill sets. Well, when I got there, the way they selected us and grouped us was based on where we were standing. So they said, hey, you guys in a group, you're going to be Bravos.
You mean
guys are
like
Bravos.
literally standing?
Literally where
Not
you were
standing in your class rank or anything like that, just where you're standing.
where you were lumped together. And so they're like, you lump, you're going to be a Bravo, you know, and they made the MOSs. Well, they made me an 11 Hotel. And so I'm like, okay. So I'm an infantry guy that drives in Humvee, shoots 50 cals and tow missiles. Cool, let's do this. At the end of basic training where they transition you and they go to AIT where you get your advanced training, they're supposed to have a RIP brief, a Ranger Indoctrination Program brief. So the RIP instructor comes, and I'm like, what's going on here? Like, he's not talking to us, he's talking to the Bravos and the Charlies. Like, why isn't he talking to us? Don't even think anything about it, because I'm like, I'm not an E1, I don't even have a rank, right? And so, no foot to stand on, so we go through the training, and at the end, they go, hey Mike, you're going to Fort Lewis, Washington to an infantry unit. And I'm like, I have a Ranger contract, airborne Ranger contract. So they look at my MOS and go, no, you're a hotel. Ranger Battalion doesn't have hotels. I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean they don't have hotels? And like, you should have told us before you were at AIT. I'm like, I'm a private. I think I tried to say something, but you guys ignored me. So luckily for me, my uncle was a sergeant major in the 18th Airborne Corps, big division of airborne infantry units. So I call him during my little break. I'm like, this is what happened. So he gets this, you know, long story short, he gets this connection where this old guard recruiter comes in. And I'm in a room, like similar to this. And they're like, I know your uncle, I want to hook you up. Like, literally the guy says it to me, he's an E5. And he's the recruiter for the Old Guard, 3rd Infantry Regiment, right? I don't even know what the hell the Old Guard is. I'm like, okay, what do I got to do? And a civilian comes in, and he looks at my orders and says, give me your orders. And he looks at it, and my MOS says 11 Hotel. He literally takes a pen and scratches out 11 Hotel, writes 11 Bravo, and then signs his initial. And instant 11 Bravo. And I'm like, oh. And I'm like, okay, so am I going to battalion? He goes, well, first, we can't do that. We have to send you to the Old Guard because that's part of this deal. When we send you to the Old Guard, because you could only be 11 Bravo in the Old Guard, we're going to send you there, and then you could put a 4187. Everybody back in the day, even kind of now, says, yeah, 4187 is the way that you migrate and do whatever you want to do. Not true. So I get the Old Guard, no idea what the Old Guard is, and long story short, they're the ceremonial unit of the U.S. military. They do all the full-honor funerals, the state dignitary escorts, all the stuff I did not want to do. I had to take advantage of my time. This is pre-GWAT. So I'm like,
So we're talking what, like
97.
97.
So I get there, and luckily for my circumstance, my uncle is very well known in these units. He served as a platoon sergeant at Desert Storm. He's just a popular character in the infantry in these particular units. And the Old Guard for infantry guys is like a break. You go to Korea, you go to the 82nd, and then you go to the Old Guard to take a break. So I get there, E1, don't know anything, and I realize it's not the place that I want to be, but I have to take advantage of the time. So I head on a trajectory to focus on setting myself up for success to be the best version of Special Forces that I can be. And so that's where that journey began.
Was anyone telling you what to do? Was anyone talking to you about it? Was anyone telling you about selection or what you need to get ready for or anything like that? Were you reading about it?
So books have been a big part of my life since the origins of where I wanted to be in the military. The Marcinko books, the Marine Sniper, all these books, John Plaster, Matt Cusano, John Stryker's stories, all these stories I was digesting and absorbing. I even stole in basic training a book called Commandos that was a paperback book from the drill sergeant's pool table hall while I was doing KP, where I was cleaning crap up. And because I was like, I want to digest this, I was like hiding doing that stuff. And so I had an understanding of what it took in discipline, but I had no idea because I didn't get any intel. As I got into the infantry, I maximized my time. I trained up for Ranger School. I went to Ranger School as an 18-year-old PFC, a private first class. I went to Airborne School.
How hard is it to get a billet to Ranger School as an 18-year-old?
Almost impossible.
How did you get it?
So there's tryouts. Most infantry units run what's called pre-random. And people think, hey, you raise your hand and get a slot. That's not true. For battalion, it's a requirement, so they get the majority of the slots. If you're a regular infantry unit, you get slots based on order of merit. So they have an OML list. And if you earn it, they'll give you a slot, and then you're on the list, and then you just trickle your way to the top. So I tried out for it. About 30 of us tried out for it, so only 3 of us got slots. And I was a young PFC.
What's the tryout based on? Freaking PT test and weapons assembly or something?
Well, it's harder than Ranger School. So it's about a week, right? So in a week, it's like, how much crap can we put together in a week to crush these kids to see who's most likely to succeed? Because these units have a reputation around. If the 3rd Infantry Regiment sends 5 dudes to Ranger School and nobody passes, it reflects poorly on the regiment. So when I showed up, it was a rucksack. It was a ruck march, 12 miles in time. It was land navigation. It was a Common Core task. It was patrol. The number one thing that's going to make you successful isn't your physical fitness, but your ability to lead. And so as a young 18-year-old, I'm navigating this problem set. It's like, hey, PFC level, give a warning, give a comment. Like I have to brief this. So planning and then executing that raid was a reflection of your probability of success. So I was successful.
And you're a PFC, and there's 30 people try out, and you get selected.
I got selected. Yeah, I was one of 3 that got selected. I went to Ranger School. I was actually the only one of the 3 that went all the way through without recycling. And in my infantry company, the only people Ranger qualified was me as a PFC, and my first sergeant, who was a senior E8 in the Army. So back then it was rare. I was rare to have a Ranger tag on my uniform.
How was Ranger School?
Kicking balls. Fear was the thing that I had to overcome. It was the most difficult thing that I had to overcome. I remember like the night before Ranger School.
Fear. I'm assuming fear of failure.
Fear of failure, absolutely. And, you know, you have no perspective. You just have these stories. You know, my squad leader had been to Ranger School before, so he was feeding me information, which almost makes it worse. Like, you gotta be aware of this, and you're trying to live with that solution in mind, and you're getting hit with all these other random jabs in the face. I showed up, and I was super physically fit, and I remember getting I had a low body fat, high physical fitness score, and when I got there, I realized very quickly it wasn't about that. The Ranger assessment part of Ranger School is relatively easy. I mean, we're talking 8-minute mile pace, 5 miles, 40 minutes. We're talking about basic push-ups, sit-ups, and running, pull-ups, and basics. Really quickly, you start deteriorating because you're not eating. You're averaging about 1 MRE a day when I went during wintertime, and you're averaging about 3.5 hours of sleep. Those difficulties for a dude, I mean, I went to Ranger School as even an 18-year-old at 200 pounds. All the guys that were meatheads, that were big dudes, suffered the most because you need protein to feed muscle. And when you're not getting that, your body starts deteriorating, and it's painful.
How much weight did you lose?
30 pounds. 30 pounds.
Yeah, that's that's a good time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's another thing, man. I might have taken the gamble. You know, they're like, hey, listen, Jocko, you might end up on a ship somewhere, but if you go to Ranger School, guaranteed you're not eating. Not even like, let me think about that one.
Yeah.
You roll the dice.
Yeah.
Dude, that's another ball game. That's the thing about buds. The thing about buds, you're getting fed, man. Yeah. And it's all you can eat.
That's
Yes.
huge.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
They just want you jacked.
That's huge.
But the thing is, Ranger School, like you said, Ranger School is really the premier leadership school for the Army.
Absolutely.
You're running operations. You're filling a different role basically every operation. Sometimes you're the leader. Sometimes you're a freaking machine gunner.
Yeah, it's you know, when I went to Ranger School as a very young kid, I didn't know what to expect, and then it's sink or swim. You either step up to the plate and you're prepared to be. Look, the characteristics of being successful in Ranger School aren't that difficult, but being a clear, concise, decisive leader under stress is super important. And I saw, and for comparably to all my peers, which weren't peers, I'm talking about second lieutenants that just graduated IOBC, Infantry Officer Basic School, Navy SEALs, Green Berets. Like, these are guys that I have respect. So it was a whole plethora, like a melting pot of a whole bunch of different backgrounds. And I realized when you took away food, when you took away sleep, when you broke everybody down, we were on this equal plane. And so the very minimal characteristics that you needed to be successful and to shine were not that difficult. And so I saw people sink, and I saw people succeed because they swam. Those people that sunk were just, they couldn't make decisions. And then when they got stressed, which they'd never been tested in stress, they couldn't do basic skill sets right. So at Ranger School, they give you the formula. And here's the conduct. Here's the 5-paragraph opera. Here's how you execute a raid. Just follow that step by step, and you'll be successful. And I realized how analytic that was. And so I just needed to get through and check the block and get it done. And I saw a lot of people sink that I highly respected because they started falling apart. I mean, I saw guys who were beefy dudes who were jacked and strong, and they were getting broken down the most because they couldn't handle the deprivation of sleep and food. And when I saw that as a young man, as a young leader, it changed my entire perspective on life. Like, it reprioritized the hierarchy of things that I thought were important, and I'm like, that's not important. Like eating and sleeping in the field to be able to conduct an operation are now the new priorities for me taking care of my guys. So I came out of that as a very young leader who wasn't even I was an informal leader. I wasn't even a designated leader. And that shaped me to become the leader that I became.
When you say people that would have trouble or people that were having a hard time making a decision, like what would they be having a hard time making a decision? Like, hey, there's where are we going to put this Overwatch position, or where are we going to set up the base element? Like those kind of decisions?
Yeah, everything from technical to very cognitive decisions that had to be made in adapting to change rapidly. So in Ranger School, you get a set mission, which is based off your conduct that you plan. It's a deliberate mission set, contingency-based mission set. You go in the field with that, and then after that, it's all fragments. It's fragmentation orders. The mission's changing. We're doing this. And mostly it had to do with the adaptability of adapting to rapid change. Hey guys, this just happened. Now you have to adapt. What are you going to do? I have no idea. And it was probably a lack of glucose in the brain. It was a lack of sleep. I mean, I had guys that broke down and like just quit. Because when you get to that state where you can't function mentally, what's going to get you through that? And typically it's grit, it's resolve, it's digging deep, and some of those guys never found that. And even though they were tested and they had an opportunity, they never found it. So when we came out of the field, the greatest thing about Ranger School is you're judged by your peers. You write down on a piece of paper, right at the second you come out of the field, you're smoked out of your mind. They put you in a classroom, they sit you down with a piece of paper, and they say, write down a person you want to go to war with, and write down a person you leave behind. And that's super impactful. For a young man being told that they would be left behind by the majority of their peers, it's super impactful, because it's like, hey man, adapt, change, do some self-reflection, or fail, and just be that guy for the rest of your life. That right there set the precedence for everyone moving forward.
And in Ranger School, one of the ways that you get dropped is by getting peered out, right? Where if you get ranked the lowest guy X number of times, then the instructor's like, yeah, this guy's not the guy that we want.
If you get peered and it's becoming a routine out of the field, you'll immediately get recycled. So a recycle isn't just like going back to the beginning of that phase. It's potentially going back to the beginning of Ranger School. So now you're talking about, when I went to Ranger School, 7+ days, it was a couple months, 3 different phases when I went. Darby, which is in the Fort Benning and Sand Hill, Dahlonega, which is in the mountains, and that Agron, which is in the swamp. So if you get recycled, you potentially would go back to the phase or go back to the very beginning. I mean, I interviewed a woman, Lisa Jackson, who was one of the first females to go through Ranger School. She failed every phase. She got to the last phase and failed. And they said, you failed, so here's your options. You could knock that, like it was a weird thing, knock out these push-ups because we got to assess if you're physically fit to go ahead and go forward. If you don't knock them out and you can't meet that standard, right now, you're done. But we're going to recycle to the very beginning. So she was in Ranger School for like a year, like sustained combat operations and sleep and food deprived for like a year. And I can't imagine, but that was your options. It's either sink or swim. You have an opportunity to succeed and change the way you look at yourself, which I think is the most impactful, that they give you that opportunity, or continue to be that guy and then just get shit in.
Are they helping people out by, let's say you get graded low, is an instructor going to come over to you and say like, hey listen, here's what's going on, you're really indecisive, you need to start thinking through these things. The reason I'm asking you this is because like in basic SEAL training, first of all, you're not doing anything really tactical, but second of all, there's no real, hey bro, here's the mistake that you're making. Whereas the kind of training that I ran, which is like the advanced training, like the training that we do with platoons before they go on deployment, right? I mean, that's all I'm doing is being like, hey man, you can't be sitting there being indecisive. You need to figure out what call you're gonna make. You need to at least give your guys some direction. Like I'm constantly doing that to these guys. Is that happening at Ranger School, or is it more like, yeah, you know what, this guy ain't got it?
Yeah, the reality is they know if you're not going to make it. Your peers know, the students know. There's guys who are made for it, and there's guys who aren't made for it. And one of the things that I think is important about the Ranger tab and the experience is you're creating combat leaders represented by a tab. Now we don't wear tabs necessarily all over the place because we're in different uniforms. But when you saw that tab, you understood that guy was capable as a leader in combat. And it told a lot. So a lot of the times, especially with the officers who come out of IOBC, they're brand new 22-year-old second lieutenants. They'll give them the opportunity. and they'll say, hey, these are the fixes. Fix this. If you don't fix it, you're going to fail. You report to your first duty station as an infantry officer with a Ranger tab. Forget about it. Your career field you're just not. You might as well just get out. For young Joes like PFCs that I was, for specialists or even young NCOs, non-commissioned officers, you have an opportunity. They'll give you some feedback, and they expect to see you take that opportunity. You might not get another opportunity based on the cycle of getting patrols, which just means they're going to recycle, and you'll get another chance a month and a half later, because that's how long it takes to get through there.
What's the attrition rate at Ranger School?
It's pretty high. It's about 80%.
Really?
Yeah, it's about 80%.
So you get done with it. Now you must have a pretty freaking good reputation. What are you 19 yet?
I'm 19. Yeah.
19. You graduated from that. So what's next?
So my uncle, when I'm there, was a guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. He was there as a guard. He was a platoon sergeant before my time. And when I'm there, I put a 4187 to the Ranger time. Doesn't get accepted. They're like, no. I have a Ranger tab, which I thought was a prerequisite to get a 4187. They're like, no, we don't need the numbers. And in '98, they didn't need the numbers. '99. And so I talked to my uncle. I'm like, what are my options here? Like, I'm ready to be in the fight, which there wasn't a fight, and that's probably the reason why I didn't get 4187 approved. They're like, he's like, go try out for the tomb. And at the time, and still at that unit, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier was the most difficult. It's probably the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life, to be honest. Selections and special operations comparatively were a walk in the park compared to what that was. I went there. The Army's been guarding the Tomb of the Unknowns since the 50s. It's been around since the internment of the World War I unknown, and it was an honor. It was something that was going to build me and set me up for success leading into potentially battalion or special forces. And so I took the opportunity. I went and tried out.
How long was the tryout?
So you typically do a 2-week tryout. It's called TDY. They TDY you to the tomb. You do a whole bunch of assessments, and then they go, you're good enough or you're not to continue to select and try. And that's a 7-month process. If you're smart, 7 months. If you're not so smart, 9 months. So it took me like 10 months. So it took me a long time to earn my tomb identification badge. The process is almost a year.
And then what's that job entail? I mean, obviously we know what it looks like from the outside, guarding the tomb, but what's it look like from the inside?
It's a suckfest, man. It's a suckfest. I mean, it's the most difficult thing I've done, but the most honorable responsibility I've been given in the military. So the Tomb of the Unknown Soldiers have been guarded by the Army since the 40s, and they guard the tomb 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and that rotation takes place in 3 release based on height. First being the tallest, second being the mid guys, and third being the shortest. Minimum is 6 feet tall. And then you rotate basically a firefighter schedule. Day on, day off, day on, day off, day on, and 4 days off all year round. You know your schedule for 3 years in advance. And you typically guard, if you're a guard, you have your badge. During the summertime, 7 walks a day, 30-minute walks with a 7-minute guard change. And then about 2 to 4 hours of guard rotations at night. At night, we don't do it in ceremonial uniform. It's typically class, I think B's at the time, or BDUs, and so road patrol. Your job is simply to guard the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier from desecration or disrespect. And we do that, snow, sleet, heat, doesn't matter the weather, it's just being done.
What makes it so challenging to get through is it just like microscopic inspections of your uniforms and your hair and your freaking nose hairs and your ear hairs and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's the attention to detail. Line 6 of the Sittlers Creed states, my standard will remain perfection. And so you build this culture around paying attention to every single facet of your military uniform, even your life, even your personal life, of being squared away. So I did that job, and painful to be a new guy doing that job, but inspections of your uniform every single day, if not by the hour. They have a culture where you earn a walk. You don't just get a walk. You have to earn that walk. So you have to earn it by understanding knowledge. You have to verbatim memorized 28 pages of knowledge about the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier and the history of Arlington National Cemetery. Because you're a representative. Like, you can go down to do a tomb guard walk in front of 3,000 people, come inside the quarters, change, and go out 3 minutes later and communicate the Tomb of the Unknowns and what it represents to the U.S. military. So it's a diplomatic position, not just a guard wearing a uniform walking back and forth. And so I remember my first walk was in front of 3,000 people at 12 o'clock noon. CNN, Fox News, cameras were in my face. I remember standing at Port Lawrence, hearing the bayonet rattle on my weapon.
Because you were freaking nervous?
Because I was nervous. I was.
We're at a boatyard. Why? Because the captain said he found a good deal on a boat. Boats are like lives. High maintenance. I'm looking at two of them right now. All right, here we are. We're hanging out by the yacht. And let me tell you something. Having a yacht is a lot of responsibility and costs a lot of money. We're on our third yacht. Too big, too small, and just right. If you ever dreamed of having a yacht, this is what you gotta do. You gotta go online and find a good deal. Look at every single yacht within what you're looking for the whole world, so you know the market. It's just like real estate. You gotta know the market. You go out, you find something that's been barely used. This boat only had 800 hours on it when I bought it. That's nothing for those big diesels. Number one, you better be prepared. Boats are like lives, high maintenance. You gotta park this baby somewhere. You wanna park it in a decent marina? By the time they hit you with the power and the water and the dockage, it's gonna cost you at least $100 grand a year. Then you're gonna need a captain to run it and some sort of part-time crew. That's over $100 grand a year right there. Then you need a guy that can watch it every week or so. That's gonna cost you $1,000 a month. Then you need insurance. That's gonna be another $2,000 a month. And then once you have all the regular expenses, you wanna go somewhere? Ding, 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 ding. You're gonna blow 100 gallons an hour in this baby. Times up to $4, $400 an hour to go anywhere. Takes me 2.5 hours just to get to Bimini, $1,000 of fuel. Are you successful enough to own a yacht? Because once you own it, baby, you'll never want to get rid of it. But I love it. Give you a good time, lady. Come on. And this baby cruises at 20 knots, which is like 25 miles an hour. I could travel in this boat from my bed. I tell the captain, you know what? You get up at 6 in the morning. I'll give you till 9 to dock. I'll plan on having breakfast in Bimini. We're at a boatyard. Why? Because the captain said he found a good deal on a boat that he thinks we can pick up a really hot deal. Normally this boat goes for $5 to $6 million. Let's see. He thinks we can get a lot cheaper because it needs some work. Let's take a look and see what he's talking about. We could just run the boat without the top deck. I'm just kidding. Too much space for the captain to use. That's the problem. Too big for 3/4 and too much space for a captain. The catch is, let's go see where the damage is at. We haven't seen it yet.
So we're looking at a 2018 88-foot Princess that caught fire right here in Fort Lauderdale. It was a beautiful boat. I knew a little bit about the boat before it caught fire. It's seen better days, but maybe we'll make a deal on it. Who knows?
I could blink an eye and spend $1 million putting that together. Which, if I knew I could do it at easy, pretty good deal, but I don't know. Boats are very tricky. I'm afraid that when you have problems in one area, it could lead to other areas. It could trigger all kinds of other issues, even though the rest of the boat wasn't affected. Only a third of the boat was affected. Top floor. Second floor seems to be fine. Bottom's fine. But who the hell knows? With boats, it's not like a house. There's all kinds of mechanical, electrical, all kinds of interacting parts and things, and I don't know. That's pretty rough. I don't think I would want to get involved with a project like this because I don't know enough connections. He said they wouldn't even take this job here. They're a big marina to fix it. You have to go in, gut everything, and start from scratch. I don't have the right people. I don't have the right knowledge. All we need is we'll buy the boat, we'll park it behind our house, we'll go to Home Depot, get him a couple of Sawzalls, and let him go to town on it. Piece of cake, and I'll even throw in Manny. Anyway, buy yourself a yacht if you can afford it. Buy a good deal, but be prepared for all the expenses you're gonna have with it. Do your homework, make sure it's in your budget, and enjoy your life. What is the point of working so hard your whole life if you never enjoy it? I'm almost 58 years old, I'm ready to enjoy it. And if you have have questions about buying a yacht or real estate, go to benmal.com/shop consult with Ben. I'll tell you everything I know so you can have the same benefits as I have. Don't jump ship and skip. Check out our sponsor, MyBookie. Make your money work smarter, not harder, with MyBookie. Celebrate your winning season with MyBookie's biggest welcome offer ever. 110% deposit match on your first deposit. You heard that right. You can more than double your money before you even place a bet by making a deposit with MyBookie. All you have to do is go to mybookie.ag and use promo code MALA to claim this bonus. But make sure to act quick because the offer is only available for this week. And you can only get it with promo code MALA. With a full slate of NFL and college football, there are plenty of options to bet and win. So don't be the guy who missed out. Bet anything, anytime, from anywhere, only with MyBookie. Always bet responsibly. Thank you, MyBookie, for sharing this video. Now back to our program. We checked out Las Espadas. Sounds like a town Manny was born in. Where were you born, Manny? In Las Espadas. I didn't see nobody Mexican in there. Let me tell you, this guy, that's really cool. That beard cover is really cool. You should get one too. And you should get one that goes up to your eyebrows. I'll take a large tuna.
Man, slice that.
I know, that's why I'm ordering it. I don't know where his hands have been, you wear the gloves. You get a choice of bread this joint or what? What's the choices? No, I'm trying to cut down on a diet. They run this sandwich shop like an assembly line at Ford Motor Plant. That's a perfect tuna sandwich, the way I want it. Not all that lettuce and tomatoes and all that crap on there. I don't want a salad. I want a sandwich. You know, he worked on fishing boats, right? You know what his job was? He was the master baiter. Italian. The word is Italian, not Italian. What a hillbilly. Look at her score. You got soup? I'm looking at two of them right now. Look, this is that candy jar. The candy jar for crackers. Hey, take this call to my lawyer, please. You want to know his name? Go to the post office. It's on the wall. So you guys are eating here? Yeah. If we ask that question one more time, we're eating here. Listen, you know, give him some sort of aptitude test. You really should invest in a mask for him over his mouth. Tie his hands too while you're at it. Tie his hands up too, like he likes it.
You want me to go to my glove box and get the orange ball gag and the pink candies too?
Whatever turns you on.
It turns him on, not me. I just get paid well.
You sure you can fit through here or what?
Oh yeah, didn't even touch it.
Look at that, baby. Tuna and cheese. Cut in thirds. But now, for a little later, and then for much a little later. This is exactly what I wanted for lunch today. You ain't gonna make it. Ouch. You're not wasting that meat. It's your goddamn meat. No, don't eat it. Don't force yourself to make yourself sick for me. That's because I'm not wasting money. Aren't you late for your AA meeting? You don't even know what it is. You need to look it up. Here, we're putting up with that guy. A sandwich on me. Here you go. I don't want to put it in a tip jar because he's stealing out of it. Here you go, Miss. Thank you very much. You don't deserve it, but try to forget you got to come to work every day and look at that face, all right? Great sandwich. Thank you very much. Hopefully when I come back, you won't be here. You'll be picked up on a violation by then anyway. We checked out Las Espadas. Food tastes like quality. They didn't rip you off. Right here at Fort Lauderdale. Go to Las Espadas, get a big sandwich, and tell them Ben sent you. But don't let the guy with the little crazy beard touch your sandwich. As a rule of thumb, be prepared. I didn't believe it, but it's true. pay for that boat, you're gonna spend close to 10% a year operating it. So if you spend $3 million, you better be ready to fork out about 25 grand a month. I've had 3 yachts in 3 years. Play it safe. 10% a year, whatever you pay for the boat. I enjoyed all 3 boats because I got to experience. I experienced one that was a little bigger, it was a little more comfortable, it had a big master on the main deck, and it was great. But we felt like it was a little too big. We went to an English boat, we had a Sunseeker, it was faster, it was sleeker, but we didn't have enough room. We had all these toys these kids got, there's no room for nothing. Well, this boat's too big, this boat's too small, but this one so far is just right. And I'm gonna make a couple of modifications on it, and I bought it at such a great deal that it's all gonna work out great. I mean, honestly, I've seen some boats out there. I'm thinking that maybe the bigger boat was better, but a different brand. I'm thinking the sweet spot for me is 87 feet, or 88, because that's the most I can fit behind this house. Okay, it's gonna give me possibly an on-deck stateroom, and it's gonna have a little more space. The one thing we never use that big fancy dining room table I got. We use it like twice a year. The dining room table space is just always space. This boat doesn't have one. That's why I like it. They gave me a bar instead. We use the bar, believe me. My wife uses the bar a lot more than the formal dining room table. So this boat so far has been worked out well. If I keep it, I keep it. If I sell it, I sell it. I don't care why, because I bought it right, and it's a great boat. You just want something nice for your house, get yourself a big fish and hang it up. I might want one for the boat. I'm gonna hang a fish on my boat. We ain't caught a lot of fish, but at least we can look at one. What's that? Rooster. Why do they call it a rooster? We gotta go to Costa Rica and catch a rooster fish. Cock-a-doodle-doo. Wahoo, like you. Wahoo! I'm buying it, and you know what I'm gonna name it? Carla. It's a nurse shark. He does up to 15,000 of these a year he sells. That's a lot of fish. This place is something fishy about it. Manny wants to know, is there any way we can stuff him with something?
I don't want to know.
He's got relatives in Mexico.
Hey, look. He's rolling the camera. I ain't saying he did.
All right, well, thanks very much. I really appreciate it. You can reach us on our website there in that card. All right, this place was amazing. They're making this stuff from scratch here. They're doing all the fiberglass, the paint. They got computer work. It's a great place. You can go and buy anything for as low as a few $100 to several $1,000s. Pick out the fish you like. They'll make it. They'll color it. They'll paint it. We even saw an American flag fish in there. They got it all. So if you hit the fish, come to Grace and get yourself a piece. We're gonna do video out tonight. So we're gonna celebrate. We're going to Lester's. And I'm gonna eat whatever I want. And she ain't gonna be here to stop me. This is Lester's. 24 hours a day. You can go in this place and wait till you see the menu. This is the closest you're gonna get to a New York Greek, we used to call them the Greek diners. This is it. This is the real diner.
Today, Ben sends me for approval an LOI that he wrote. He wrote an LOI for $40 million. And look what it says there. No contingency. Look at that, with $1 million deposit. Problem is, they probably want about $50 million. But you never know. You can always go up, but you can't go down. At least he's trying. Commercial property is 3, 5, 7, or 10-year loans. That's it. If the market is up at the end of your term, you're 5, 3, 5, 7, or 10, then you're subjected to whatever the market is. And if it's double your payment, then your payment's going to be double. Nothing you can do about it. I always like to have a chicken fried steak. They all stuff in here, and I like them all, but you just can't beat a piece of chopped steak dipped in a batter of fried chicken, gravy on it. But I'm trying to be good. I haven't eaten beets like this since I was probably 10. I'm going to do it. And I figured I'll have a sweet potato. Manny's got a big burger. Of course, Rafal almost copies me, except he got mashed potatoes instead of sweet potato. This beets look like it's something Polish, doesn't it? This is the difference between a restaurant and a diner. Two of them, baby. That's the difference. When you order a dinner in a diner, they serve you bread, they give you a cup of soup or a salad, you get your entree, you get to pick 2 sides. I think that's enough.
Next Saturday is our biggest real estate party, baby. 10 touching a man with no clothes on.
I was on the run.
Some great guys from Patrick Bet David, they asked us to come by and say hello. Who picks your clothes out every day? Your mommy?
Good to see you, buddy.
This is a residential community. Warning, photo ID required. We're at the house in Parkland. This was our corporate house, and we sold the hotel. We don't need the house anymore. I got a dream team here. They're to come in and get this house ready. We look for every little thing that needs to be done to make it look presentable to put it on the market. Probably a pressure cooker all over. Ooh. It's looking pretty rough. Can this door be painted? Sanded. Man, use some good paint over that shit. Fuck it. Use a little tiny brush, you know? Yeah, like one uses to. Prison. In this room here. Oh, that looks pretty good to me. Kind of mess with this, yeah. Tiny room. She actually kept up the place pretty good. Looks good. We ain't seen no. Can we fix this shit here or what? Wood dough. Put a little wood dough in there, stuff some paper in there. Make cabinets look good. Doors good. What the fuck happened here? Patches hang. I don't know. This room, man, you get a deal, get all the shit out of here. Just need to good clean it out, man. Alright, well, let's keep going. I don't know. You know, walls, ugly. Alright, this wall here is fucked. You gotta do the best you can, Joe. I'm not repainting. Hopefully you'll find some purple that matches. Oh shit, I don't know. Or hang a picture of it. Honestly, she was here, living here before kids for a long time. I thought the place was gonna need a lot more work. It doesn't. All the place needs is just cleaning it out, a little touch-up paint here, a little patch of paint, some cleaning, and we're done. Take this figure to the market. How do you get up here and clean this? Oh, rat shit, whatever it is over there, bird shit. I didn't even know this house was this big. I don't know, somebody wanted us out of it. I guess they could leave it, right? Can we do anything with this right here? We could always do something here with mulch or some shit. We don't actually have to move furniture yet. The she ain't nowhere to put it. And in fact, it almost stages the house. This couch kind of shabby, but these chairs look nice, you know? No major repairs to do. He took care of the house real well. But let me tell you something. I looked at the market. I paid $1.25 million for this house. I had to bid it up when the market was so hot back then. I think the house is worth $1.5 million now. I might make a few bucks on it. Can't beat that, baby. I didn't have a lot of plans that night. I had to go down the river anyway. Why not stop at Rivertail and have whoever's in the neighborhood stop by and say hello while I'm on my yacht? Your father owns, he's the kid whose father owns the bar in New York.
I was the person who got into real estate back when I was still in college, junior in college. Now we buy hotels.
Don't say I'm the reason you dropped out of college. Don't blame me. You were partying too much like Ben Jr. and Vincent.
I started my own construction business when I was 18, and then I dropped out because I was making twice what a civil engineer would. And I was like, why am I here?
What typically do you build? What kind of square foot?
320, 350 square foot. They're all studios, 1-to-1. But you'd be surprised, the market for that in Orlando is insane.
You had to bring a beer. Oh, man. Oh. Saki. That's really, really nice.
I actually spoke on live stream last year. I bought 2 houses since, and
That's great.
in the residential game, and watched me all the time. And
I did for my wife, so I can save it for my special guest.
you had level 2. So I was senior.
I'm not gonna look skinny no matter what I do.
Been in real estate for about just going on a year. I've done about 12 million.
That's great. Already 1 year.
About 99% of my business is from cold calling.
Go, I learned a lot from Ben. I own properties in Miami, own 14 doors in total.
I'm not used to touching a man with no clothes on.
I was on the run. I'm a huge fan. I didn't know you were going to be here.
You smell like my wife, so she runs. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. Here, keep it up. Here we go. How are you? Good. You don't know if I have cigarettes I smoke. I don't even know why you're taking a picture with me.
I want you to sign that for me.
So you leave it. It's against the law to sign money. Thank you.
To the hotel meeting in Tampa.
A guy like him, he can wear a shirt like this and look like $1 million, and the women will love him. He can wear a shirt like that. I can't wear a shirt like that. I'd look like the fucking Garden of Eden if I wore that shirt. Okay. Uh-oh, he broke here. You're serving me papers. He's here to serve me a fucking lawsuit. He's a sneaky bastard. I knew he was watching me. You didn't have to bring that for me. I heard you. Oh, man. Manny, put this where my wife will not find it. Not your room. Uh-oh, the IRS is here. Get out of here. I knew he was following me around, the IRS. I turned the tax return in already. Leave me alone.
We work for Patrick Bet David.
Patrick, that rings a bell.
Give you a tour of the Belly headquarters, the podcast studio, the Vault.
We drove past there. I wanted to knock on the door, and he was too scared. I was going to go knock on your door and say, hey, what are you guys doing? And he said, no, don't bother them. They're very appointments and all that. He was right by the way you dress. I'm taking a shower out here in Riverwalk. It's hot out here. I'm not going to sweat on people. You know, be courteous. Look at that. Freshen up. Towel. You can be homeless. You work out pretty good. Whenever I went broke and I went homeless, I'd have to have Becca with me. So, you know, you can help me get cleaned up and shit. What's the
New realtor.
Yes.
He's got a question for you.
Okay. How can I help you? You a real estate agent? How long you have your license? A month. So you got the license, but you haven't signed up to a broker yet, right? Are you in any kind of service industry or you interact with people or anything like that? No? Because they're all customers. I tell this to guys, I tell this to girls. Put on something very businesslike, like you're going to sell a multi-million-dollar house. Go to the places that are selling the big money houses and try to get in one of those places. Okay? Because, you know, you'll fit right in, that's all I tell you. And you're going to get around people making money. You got knocked down in delivery?
That's what we're doing.
I don't know. I don't think people want to open that door and see you there with a bag of food. You still here, lady? When did you get out of jail? You guys are definitely a duo, let me tell you. Matzo bride, pan-fried, use a little butter in the pan this time, make it nice and delicious. Don't be cheap on the lox, and put some eggs in it this time, you know? You're supposed to mix the eggs up with the matzo crackers.
I'll escort you to the kitchen and you can tell them I like it.
I could, but then I gotta start charging you for coming in and doing cooking consulting. People are waiting here, let's go. Come on, lady, you're moving too slow, let's go, let's go. New York, you were the last 2 seconds in the deli. Get him some new gloves. I want him to double his gloves. He knows where his hands are.
You wanted Nova shrinks put into your Monster Bride? We gave him 2 cups to give you.
2 cups of Nova?
Yes.
2 cups of Nova? He's never given out 2 cups of Nova or anything.
To anybody.
You're not out of the kitchen. If she looks at the food, it'll spoil. You look great. You look great. Very good.
See that diabetes, it'll help you. We'll just continue to eat healthy.
That's it. Stop eating here. Look at that. What'd you get, brisket? There we go, baby. Yeah, we're fucking award-winning matzo bride. He put a lot of matzahs in there. Onions, lox, eggs, matzah. That's a matzo bride. That's breakfast ever. I woke up this morning thinking about this, and here I am, having it. He's probably having a heart attack and he put all over the lox in. It doesn't ruin my meal. He told me that he had his hands all over his Nova slicing it up on Saturday.
I didn't see it with my schmuck, but then I snuck in my hand.
Yeah, but you're probably clean when you schmeck up before you slice the Nova. But knowing you slice the Nova, and you think you schmeck up, you got a little grease from the Nova on it. You're a sick person. I know I don't say a lot of nice things, but that was the best breakfast I've ever had. Probably one of the best breakfasts of my life. I've been around 57 years. Whoever's back there, keep them back there. I will. Don't let her back there. No. Can I borrow any money for the tip? Yeah. I made a good bet yesterday. Better, you demand perfection. My cookie delivers. NFL, college football, and a brand new cash-out system that gives you options to bet and win all season long. First 2 legs of your parlay hit, cash out early, and use the funds on another bet. Or let it ride, baby, for the chance at a bigger payday. Join the MyBookie family for an entire season filled with odds boosts, free bets, and super contests. This season, MyBookie has a no-strings attached cash bonus that lets you deposit and withdraw quick. Use promo code MALA on a deposit of $50 or more, and you can receive up to $200 in cash instantly to your MyBookie account. Again, that's promo code MALA to claim your cash deposit bonus. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, only with MyBookie. Always bet responsibly. Thank you, MyBookie, for sponsoring this video. We had a meet and greet last night. Some great guys from Patrick Bet David, that's Bet David, not Ben David. They asked us to come by and say hello. Look where he parks in the bike. It's funny, he drives a motorcycle in a suit, a three-piece suit. It's not just a suit, it's a three-piece suit without the vest. Who picks your clothes out every day? Your mommy? I do. How are you? How are you? How are you? You need to teach him how to dress. This is a famous vault. The vault? Where's the money? Uh-oh. See, if anybody comes in here causing any trouble, when they see him, they ain't causing no trouble. How's Suge doing? He'll be out soon? Yeah, I'm gonna hook up with him when he gets out. This is the vault? You know, I had to rip the vault down for speech once because the thing broke down. Very nice, very nice. High class, high class. What do you got here? What?
The Value Team of the logo.
Oh, that's your logo. Yeah. You're a company man.
Yes, sir.
Very good.
That's how it should be.
Everybody here looks like they either work for the IRS or the Secret Service.
Well, we have to represent at
Very good. This is what I'm represented by. Pollock with a wrinkled shirt. Adam, how are you? How's he doing?
She's doing hot.
That's great. Why don't you learn from these guys? These guys know how to color coordinate and dress. What time do you start your limo job? Even people like you can be successful in life.
I think it's the first non-junkie man, or maybe it was a
Don't talk about hoes that marry and divorce and fuck me too much. A divorce would kill me worse than the interest rates right now.
It's called cheaper to keep.
You got it.
I know. No, I'm actually a big renter guy. I own REITs. Because I keep it moving, flexible. Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Basically, he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. He's a big prima donna. He doesn't want to work for a living. He'd rather put his money somewhere and let other people work for a living.
Correct.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
You? I don't know. All right, get somebody to clean this carpet in here or replace it.
Welcome
Thank you.
to the HQ.
Another color coordinated person.
Renter guy, and I own REITs.
Russ, what time do you start your limo job? Even people like you can be successful in life.
I think that's the first non-junkies made, or maybe it was a joke.
I don't talk about hoes that marry and divorce and fuck me too much. A divorce would kill me worse than the interest rates right now.
It's called cheaper to keep.
You got it.
I know. No, I'm actually a big renter guy, and I own REITs. Because I keep it moving, flexible. Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, 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 boom.
Finance income reducing real estate across the region.
Yeah.
Basically, he doesn't want to get his hands dirty. He's a big prima donna. He doesn't want to work for a living. He'd rather put his money somewhere and let other people work for a living.
Correct.
Smart guy.
Yeah.
You? I don't know. All right, get somebody to clean this carpet in here or replace it.
Welcome
Thank you.
to the HQ.
Another color coordinated person. How come you can't learn from the people around you?
I feel like you need someone to pick on, so I'm honored that I'm the punching bag. It's an honor.
I would never punch you. Fancy boy. You always tell a place by the snacks they got. These are snacks for guys that like to be healthy. Give me some Kit Kats. Put a couple of Hershey bars in there. Where do you sleep? In that corner over there? Under that desk. Nice to meet you, Roy. You're a manager. Ooh, we'll meet up to manager. One day you'll make it up to manager. Yeah. Meanwhile, put him back in the valet.
Did I tell you I was a chauffeur?
I believe it. I can tell you used to wear that suit. I get this feeling, intuition, you call it. You know, you look like a driver. You would drive me crazy if I don't know.
One thing I like about this guy is
One thing. It's only one thing. Go ahead, tell
the
us.
level of focus he has and the level of passion he has for the vision that we have here.
Yeah.
And this goes equal with his.
Unfortunately, his girlfriend doesn't say that.
No girlfriend.
She got a lot of people working here. I hate to be the guy making payroll. How you doing, man?
Good to see you.
How long you been out? What are you doing? Tell me what you're doing.
Calling people.
Calling people? I think you called me once. I hung up on you. When do you get a desk in this joint?
This is my desk with all the inspiration.
Oh, the one that says men's on it? It's good to hire special needs. All right. Keep doing whatever you're doing.
It was so nice to have you back.
It was so nice to be here. Are you related to Mr. Rogers? You ever seen the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood Show? Have you seen the movie?
That is my life.
Yeah, you look like you're related to him and Pee Wee Herman. Like, a little both.
I want to know.
You want to know? You couldn't take it. You couldn't handle the whole.
You bet I can.
Will somebody please teach him how to color coordinate? Nice to meet you. It was an experience.
Oh, I have two ducks.
Quack, quack.
And a cat.
Listen, stop telling me. The more you tell me, the stranger I think you are. I thought you were already strange.
Great emotional support animal.
Emotional. It's all about the emotional support, you know? I got the opposite. I got a wife. That's the opposite of emotional support. You better not let them get loose and go around any Chinese restaurant in your neighborhood because they'll be gone. Nice to meet you. What you got in the bag?
Some plantains, got some yogurt, some blueberries, some body
I
wash.
got some yogurts, I got some blueberries, and later I'm going to take a nice shower. I got my body wash. How are you? It's a hell of a suit you got there, boy. Kind of warm. Hi, how are you? Hi, nice to meet you. They do need to fix the parking lot. The inside the building is over the top, but put a little money in the parking lot. Let's get this thing dug up. Let's get some asphalt here. If you got a drainage problem, put a drain in. How are you? How are you? Sunshine Ballet. The sun's shining, baby. Grand opening. I came prepared. Look at that. Hot as hell, and I'm still going to put a sweat on. Just so everybody knows. Oh, that arrangement was tonight. So if it turns into a disaster, it's his fault. Come on in, ladies. How are you? How you doing? How you doing? I want this to be the kind of place where you can't get in if you ain't shipping a guy $100 bill. That's what I want to see. I think they decorated it really nice. If the food's as good as they say, I'll tell you one thing, the price is very reasonable. How's that veal chop, Frankie? This one's a Chinese. All right. On the ball. How are you? How are you? How are you? How you doing?
Big Fangio. This guy's like Mr. Potter in Wonderful Life. He owns everything in town. You know what I'm saying?
And we don't want to tell you who's he like.
Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you.
What the hell are you wearing?
He's going back into this is what you call the Sopranos look. All right, the New Jersey Sopranos look. Well, you know why he has to wear that? Because he never knows when he's got to run. He doesn't want to be in a running suit. Man, you know what I love best about this place? A beautiful brand new ashtrays. That's class. Stainless steel. I get ashtrays like that at my hotel. That's nice shit, Matt. Make sure you put one of those in my Bentley. Rob, who are you? That's a good steak. That's a real chop. That's a real chop. I didn't like it. Are these two related or what? I would swear they were fucking brothers. Okay.
He's closer to my cousin.
Yeah. Yeah, they spent a lot of time together. You know what I mean?
Enjoy your smoke.
Yeah, smoke what they got him. Listen, we don't want what he smokes. Trust me. Okay. Oh shit. So you're driving a Maybach now.
Don't make my fucking head this big.
This guy has a nose like he can smell Peru.
Like an awning. It's like a fucking awning.
Yep. We're at Frankie's Italian Chop House on 4th Street in St. Petersburg. And you're gonna get the best Italian food your mouth has ever tasted. I had the veal was out of this world. Everything was fabulous. And the prices are reasonable. You're not gonna get ripped off like all those other places. So come on down to Frankie's Italian Chop House. We got Frankie the chef. You know he knows how to cook.
Remember, never trust the skinny chef.
You like the videos? Come hang out with us in person at my hotel. And we're going to be celebrating her early birthday. The whole gang will be there. We're going to have food. We're going to be talking about everything you want to talk about in real estate. You're going to be networking. It's going to be a real estate party, baby. Go to benmail.com/live. Get your room, baby. Get your ticket to the event. We're going to be partying that night. Check out my bookie. Place your bet. Subscribe. Watch another video. Hit the like button. Adios, amigos. In this episode, we're going to walk our real estate, get set, go! We're going to talk about our real estate, a woman and minority-owned company. There you go. How about if I bring my own minority? And we're going to eat some real estate.
You got your briefcase?
That's his lunchbox. We're going to Orlando to the biggest retail real estate convention, but Ben Jr.'s hungry, so we start talking about food. The last Sizzler still exists, I believe, in Orlando. And you love the salad bar.
Let's go to Sizzlers. I really want to go to Sizzlers.
We grew up eating fucking Sizzlers. That was our big treat, to eat fucking Sizzler salad bar with chicken wings and meatballs. Ben would walk out with chicken wings stuffed in his pockets. Here's the water park hotel. All right, here we are. We're at Griffin Farm in Lake Mary. Probably our biggest plaza with the most tenants and our newest property. Shopping center with a swimming pool. We gotta check it out, we gotta get on it, we gotta maintain it, and we're gonna go to a big event, try to find some tenants. And that's what we gotta start doing.
Just make a bigger fucking mess out of it.
You know, you got a lot of good stuff. You got burgers, you got burritos. Shit, we had a P.F. Chang's. It's a to-go, but it's still a P.F. Chang's. Everyone loves P.F. Chang's. Paulie is our retail manager, and he loves this place because they got all these shops that have all these services just for him. Paulie, get your eyelashes done. Paulie, get some beauty here. Botox. Hey, clean that up, Paulie. We got Greek food. We got everything here, but no pizzas. If I knew somebody I could trust to open up a fucking pizzeria, I'd fucking invest in it because there was no way to lose here. If you got a pizza place and you want to open one up and make a lot of money, you need to get a hold of us and open one up here. Yeah, okay, so this place here is empty. This is the one with the garage. You know what this would be perfect for? If we can fucking get Tesla to rent this? How much a month?
$15,000. Here, enter my lord.
How come you don't have something on the space saying police?
Right here. Paulie, why don't you stand out here and twirl?
Right out in the street. I mean, look at this space. Holy shit. I mean, a home improvement guy with cabinets and fixtures, or, oh shit, a high-end...
Are you smoking in here?
Why not? There's nobody here.
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
Gorilla tape. This is not tape. And you only got like that much of it.
You only need a little freaking piece of that shit.
Oh my God.
You got a knife? Wait, we carry a knife. Today, one fucking time we need his knife. The big country boy don't bring his knife.
I took my gun and my knife out.
He ain't got his gun. He ain't got his knife.
I got my gun, but I didn't bring my knife.
It's called redneck engineering.
They had to tape it to the glass. We got the gorillas using gorilla tape. Maybe I'm gonna join 9 rounds.
Yeah, let's go see you do 9 rounds. Come on.
Oh, by the way, I might be invested in promoting a boxer. I gotta meet with a heavyweight champion on Wednesday.
Let me know if you want to promote a race car driver.
I only want to invest in winners.
Oh, I'm a winner.
Why are they closed?
It's Sunday.
What are they, Chick-fil-A? That's crazy. That's the biggest fucking day to get cookies. Why do these companies do that? I can't believe they're not open on Sunday, a cookie place. Everybody wants cookies on Sunday. Cookie! I don't get it.
Things we do for our tenants. Paulie likes the property because it's got benches for him to sit down every once in a while.
Everything Paulie needs is listed on the window. They can turn you into a new person here. They can do everything but the hair implants you need. You see how fast you can lose 15 pounds? Get in there, we'll time it. You gotta drink a whole bottle of that shit and you'll lose 15 pounds because you'll be sick to your stomach.
Look at Paulie falling on the damn truck. That's how he manages the apartment complex, the buildings too. He just drives around.
Saturday night Beaver dance party. Well, Ben, you know the old saying we have.
When there's a vacant space, you will race.
He remembers.
Come on, Vince. What the heck?
No more vacancies in the building.
Here we go. From that wall to that wall.
Come on, Paulie.
Please, we don't want Paulie dropping dead. On your mark. Get ready. Get set. Go. Cheaters. Cheaters. Cheaters.
Oh, my phone.
That's what you get for cheating.
And my foot.
I still got it.
Because he's skinny.
And you cheated and you still lost.
I needed that extra little takeoff.
You needed a handicap.
Probably losing about 30 grand a month.
Man, we gotta come up with some businesses that are gonna work here. We gotta find it. We can't sit around waiting. A lot of people always ask, how can I work with you? Find me a tenant and get a commission. This place is brand new. This is a great neighborhood. If you can think of a business that can come in here, contact us at benmalley.com and let us know. Let's make something happen, baby. I want to get things cooking. Anyway, what do we got here? Injections? Hey, Paulie, you need an injection? They do them here. Right here, they got a chiropractor. You need that. We have a big space here. Luckily, it's filled.
My life is in this building. This is my life's work, all rolled into one building right here.
24-hour fitness, baby. What else can you ask for? Thanks for coming and going to the gym. That's why you look fit. You're going to the gym, baby. I'm trying to be like you. I want to look fit like you. How's Dunkin' Donuts doing? Good?
Great.
They got a drive-thru.
They got a drive-thru. You're absolutely right. You're so observant.
Tipsy Nail Salon. They call it Tipsy because they got a bar?
No.
I heard they have a bar in this Winn-Dixie.
Yeah, they got a bar in here.
Come to Winn-Dixie in Griffin Farm in Lake Mary. You can relax, you can have a beer, you can have a glass of wine, and let them do the shopping while you relax. That's what I'm gonna do.
Buying anything?
No.
Okay.
This right here, you gotta trim this tree up. Somebody gets hit in the eye, it's 100 grand, easy.
Oh shit, that's 100 grand. Dad, give me 100 grand right now. I'll settle out of court right now for $5. Look like we're scoping out the bank to rob the place. Look at this. 6 guys taking pictures, walking around with a camera.
The thing is this, before we can rent the space, we have to know what we can't do. By knowing what we can't do tells us what we can do. So we don't go out here and find a tenant that is on a restricted list that we can't have here operating. Every store here has certain exclusive rights to not have competition. So you also have to think of your current tenants and protect their rights. All right, understand? Good.
Let's roll, baby.
While we're in Orlando, we're gonna check out a hotel opportunity. The hotel was another big major project, probably in the neighborhood of 37 million. How much does it need to fix up? I don't know. We gotta find out. Valet only. Look, there's no cars in the valet on Sunday. This needs a major cleaning. All that shit needs to be cleaned.
I mean, the parking lot needs to be checked. The parking lot needs to be made sure that there's no leaks. Leaks cause corrosion, and the erosion factor on the garage is not good. If you start eroding the parts of the concrete that sit on top of each other, and this part breaks, well then that breaks, and everything that's sitting on top of it breaks, and it causes structural failure. So I just want to look out for erosion. That's all I care about. If there's erosion in the building, we got problems. And then I got to bring real professionals in here to tell me what to do.
That hotel needed a lot of TLC, and that's where we come in. We get in there, we try to buy it for the right price, and we have a budget on how much we're going to spend to make it nicer. That's the plan. Does the numbers work? We got to do our homework and find out. Fresh pack, baby. You see what that says? Pull. You pull it. After the hotel, we're going to dinner. And Vincent took us to a crazy place.
Oh, it's going down in here.
I hate to be the guy cleaning up this place. There's nothing like a restaurant where you can dance on the tables. Taking a heating lamp and using it been to Greece, and I've had dinner in a lot of Greek restaurants, but never put a party like that going on. Man, they used to throw plates, so it's cheaper and easier. I think the insurance stopped them from throwing plates. We made it to our hotel, and we found out IRS, Internal Revenue Service, is here. I'm not staying here. You can't mix real estate and IRS. Keep our distance. Now, before we go to our Big Shot Real Estate Conference, let me tell you about our sponsor, Aura. Whether you're a big shot or not, protecting your personal information is extremely important. Google your name and see what you find. Your address, email, even your phone number. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. Aura will identify data brokers that are exposing your information and automatically opt-out requests on your behalf. They'll even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. All that crap we don't want! They monitor the dark web for information like your social security number, address, even bank accounts, and will alert you fast. Aura is an identity theft protection, fraud monitoring, password manager, all in one app, baby. Protect yourself. Go to Aura.com/BenMallow and you can get a 2-week free trial and see how many data brokers are sharing your information. Thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this video. Take a look. This is the dream team. Well, like a nightmare.
Problem is my pants are too tight right here, and I'm afraid that if I tuck my shirt in, it won't look right because it'll be under my belly, and my belly will hang out, which it might look all right. I don't know. Let's see.
Still dressing. They brought out their finest shoes. Oh, should I get a scooter? I need a Rolls-Royce scooter, baby. Look at this. I made it to the big leagues. Here we are. We're at the ICSC in Orlando, the biggest convention for retail real estate. And we're going to find us some tenants. Ben Jr.'s going to go to some classes. He's going to find out all the latest techniques in managing, building, operating real estate. This is the biggest event of the year, and we're going to make some money. This is what I'm talking about. We got people here looking to rent space. These stores, these companies, these corporations, they're ready to move in. And that's what we're looking for. We just gotta find the right tenant for our space. Everything's gotta line up, everything's gotta match. It's gotta be a marriage. So we're here to make a marriage. Hopefully we'll get lucky. I need tenants. I don't care where they come from. There it is right there. Everything we got for rent. Matt, keep this in case I can come up with 10,000 square feet. You kill it over here at Lake Mary. Have two. The only dog in my house is me. I'll find a property. I'll run it by you. See what happens. I don't think Golden Corral's in business anymore. Chicken. Everything's chicken these days. Eggs up grilled. Can I have 2 eggs over hard with bacon sausage and rye toast, please?
Do not want me to cook that way.
The only thing she makes is reservations.
Yeah, the only thing I is deals. That's the only thing I do.
Breakfast of real estate champions. Also, the only thing I can eat that makes sense here in the morning. You're eating Chinese food. You're nuts. Every day on my computer and emails, I get emails from every one of these places. A woman and minority-owned company. There you go. How about if I bring my own minority?
I actually emailed this property to you about 6 months ago. My husband and I sit in our bed and watch your videos. And he said, if you're not sending your sites to Ben Mallow...
That's kind of weird. Her and her husband in bed. They're watching my videos? That's what they're doing in bed? And what's your husband doing right now?
He's at home. Yeah.
Don't ever go over their house. I don't trust them. If we find a place for you, we'll shoot them to you. My son's whispering in my ear that people don't like you tattoo people. They're high end. We'll look at our restrictions. You're an engineer, you work on tires now? Oh, moved up, aren't you? Oh, thank you so much. This is the company I want to do business with.
Whoever gets closest wins the game.
$428. Is my card? No, it's his card. He'll win. Yeah, he's been doing it his whole life. He's been stealing everything I had ever since he was a kid. Give me a real
Just a
one.
little percentage.
How about you tell me and I'll split it with you? Oh, there's sense in there. But it's whoever comes closest. Because if it makes sense, it makes money. Unbelievable. How the fuck did there not be any pizza places here?
Here, let me show you. Every place has problems. This is the Orlando Convention Center. And even here they got problems, okay? Everybody's got issues. It's called property maintenance, all right? That's a leak from upstairs. There's like vents or something. There's probably leaking going on. You know, everything takes money to maintain and a team to maintain it. Where's their team at? How come they're not maintaining it?
Good, I need a deal. Who's gonna give me a deal today? The guy with the fancy flowers gonna give me a deal.
We're gonna make it
So
happen.
call me, not all those other little friends you got. When I'm ready to sell it, it goes back to you. Loyalty. Oh my God, tired. I am so tired.
This is perfect for me.
Ben Jr. decided to go on a diet, trying to watch his weight, and he's got a lot of weight to watch.
This is the perfect lunch. Send it back.
Man, you need more vegetables? Yeah. I'm on a diet. Give Ben Jr. my salad. Are these the mushrooms that make it cuckoo?
Please keep receipts until 1:30. We'd appreciate it. Last year,
You're not supposed to eat that.
It's banana.
just in
And it's really good.
take all of your efforts and the time from the last year.
No, I can't have two.
And help me.
Get them away from me. I'm gonna kill every single one of those fucking things.
If he's not speaking, he's just gonna fall asleep soon.
The only way I can listen to a speech is if I'm giving it. And you need to come to my event, October the 7th, in my hotel. We're gonna have a real estate party, baby. It's gonna put you in the right direction to making some serious moves and making some serious money in real estate. Be there. Smells like weed out here. What the fuck are you doing? Those guys put me to
You fall
fucking sleep.
asleep and you put me to sleep, so I had to walk out of there.
Finally, any questions? What about insurance? Oh, we self-insure. What about finance? Oh, we self-finance. Everything they play with themselves. What about the rest of us poor motherfuckers? Say you big rich guys. What do? I want to collect all the data. And you guys are going to get on the phone this time, and you're going to call everybody that fits our space. We didn't meet any pizza people. I want to meet the pizza guys. I'm going to talk to the pizza guys. You listen, get your fucking pizza, and get over to goddamn Lake Mary, make the sauce, make the dough, and sell some fucking pizza, and pay me the rent. Simple. I will. Mixed. That's Vincent.
And that's you, the ashtray.
The only thing good about that lunch was the fucking dessert.
Yeah, that dessert was good. I ate it.
Bread sucked.
How about all that butter you were eating with that bread? Was the butter
No, the
good?
butter was good. The butter was good. I'd come back for the butter. Ben wanted us to come to the ICSC. We met all kinds of people, from contractors to guys who do parking lots, to leasing agents, to brokers. Hopefully we made some good contacts. We're gonna follow up on our leads. We're gonna get some of our places rented. And now we're out of here. Are you getting to 30 or not?
Yeah, but do you want double or do you want?
No, not doubles.
Not doubles, right?
We hit the jackpot. We're in Orlando. It's the only White Castles at least 1,200 miles away. No microwave today, baby. I just want water. Can I have a courtesy cup, please? Water, free water, baby, free water. Look at that. You get 100 different drinks out of this.
Ben, you got you a briefcase?
That's his lunchbox. 20 White Castles.
I wish they would have gave me this as a lunchbox when I was a kid. How do you open this thing up? Ooh. Should have let my dad do it on us. Here. You can't even pull these things out. They got them in here so tight. All right, look. Burger. Burger. Burger.
Look at this chicken.
Burger.
I don't want no chicken. I want fish. Fish with cheese. Eating healthy, eating fish. Everybody said lose weight, so fine, I'm gonna take a walk. But if I gotta walk somewhere, I need to see something. At least something I like. I can't just have a boring walk, all right? And I'm not smoking while I'm walking. Look at that. It's an SLS, baby. Turquoise Lambo. That's what Lauderdale, okay? Ferrari. Look at that. That's some high-end shit. Imagine if you had all that shit in your garage. Drive a different one every day. Matt, you keep the security guard occupied. Take him around the corner. Mandy's gonna come over here and grab one of these Land Rovers. We'll drive one of them around tonight. If you look at all these Mercedes, you'd think you're in Dubai. Hey, do me a favor. Would you do it? Maybe, but you really, me and you are gonna be friends, okay? Yeah. Do me a favor, all right? Yeah. Isn't it time for your break? Don't you need to go take, like, go to the bathroom, have a cup of coffee? You know, give me like 20 minutes here in this parking lot. You got all these cars here. Nobody's gonna notice one's missing. They won't even find out for fucking 2 weeks, probably. Matt, give him $500. We're driving by. Yeah. You know where we're going?
No.
The casino. And you know why?
Make more money.
Nope. The Chinese food there is better than any Chinese, and I'm from New York. It's the best Chinese food I've ate in my life. You got a lot of money sitting around here. And you're responsible right now for it.
7 to 7.
Very good. 7 to 7. 12 hours. You can't sit inside and just watch the damn cameras. They do in a casino. I do a lot of real estate. But I encourage people like you to go online and go sign up to get a real estate. It's one course and one test. That's it. Your high school diploma?
Yes.
There you go. You're halfway there already. Then you put a nice suit on one day and you go to a nice office and you say, I'm here, I've arrived, I'm ready to sell. You can really make a lot of money because you got a friendly face, you have an honest face, he's in security, of course, and that sells, okay? A guy like Matt, it's hard for him to sell. People look at him and he looks like a crook. I mean, that's what he looks like, an old crook, you know, Georgia crook. You know how much this building's worth? Multi-millions. And then the land and the parking lots and all this shit. If you can sell something like this, boy, you make a big commission. And then you save your money and you buy your own shit. Keep your credit clean, whatever you do. The biggest thing is keep your money going out low every month. You don't want a lot of expenses. If you don't need it, get rid of it. Stash your cash, get a real estate license, and you're getting in the game. All right, man, it was good meeting you. Have a good night. Thanks a lot. By the way, I know the owner. I could call him right now. In fact, I already took a picture and told him his lights out on the sign. He needs to get that fixed. And his front light's out too. You know, it's going to make you look good. Yes. If you report that there's letters out on the sign so people can't see at night, somebody needs to fix the lighting because at night, that's his marketing, his advertisement. I stopped as soon as I saw it. How much does it cost, or did it cost you, course and the test, to get you to your license? What was the cost?
$650.
And you didn't do it all at once? The first part was how much?
$225.
$225 to invest in your education and your credentials. They become credentials. So fine, $225, you take the course online, you knock it out, fine. Now you completed Principles of Real Estate course. They make sure that you pass by giving you the practice test. Take the course, study for the test, take the practice test, take the state test, get your license. The whole thing is of 600 and something bucks. There you go. All right? I'm coming back in I'm going to give you 120 days. Okay. I'm going to come back here, and I want to see you show me that license.
I got you.
If you do, I'll have a gift for you. Good luck to you. All right, man. Have a good night. Thanks. How much? $30. That's a lot of money. We're just coming in to eat Chinese food. All right, 30 for the house, 10 for you. Can you check the oil while you're there and maybe hose it down a little? Thanks a lot. You can smoke in this casino, baby. Smoking friendly. How you doing? You watch videos? I don't want to know what kind of videos you appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. We came here for Chinese food, not to spend our money.
Oh, listen to me.
Listen, if you come to Fort Lauderdale, come to the Coconut Creek Casino. Come to the bowl. Because every bowl in this place is filled with delicious Chinese food. Big chunk of meat. No little tiny piece of meat. Big chunk of meat. We got spare ribs, beef chop bun, wonton soup, sweet sour chicken over there, and white rice for all you people from Georgia. We're back, we're back. We're back. We went to the Chinese place and you sent us the message. Are you hungry? Listen, this is the best Chinese food ever, okay? And I'm giving you some of the best Chinese food I would never part with anybody. Even my kids, I wouldn't give it to them. But look, we even found some silverware for you. Here you go, enjoy. All right, we're on our way home and we had leftovers, you know? All right, I'm looking for you to get that license. When you sell real estate, make sure you look presentable. You're showing a house, you gotta look good, okay? Yeah, you gotta look good in the suit. I mean, you're a skinny guy. Food motivates people. Motivates me. Makes me think about the next meal I'm gonna have. Subscribe. Watch another video. Book your ticket. And don't forget about our sponsor, Aura. Adios, amigos. Let's get serious. You want to talk serious about real estate? We're going to talk serious about real estate.
Hey, what are we filming?
I've been to a lot of hibachi places in my time. It sucked. I'm sorry. Who's hurt? She just got into a car accident. I'm here all by myself. I got my boat. I got a couple of houses to work on, and I'll take care of myself. I don't need nobody. I don't need nobody to cook. I don't need nobody to clean. I'm gonna do my own laundry, and now I'm gonna have breakfast. First thing you do when you want to have breakfast, one paper plate. Why? So you don't have to wash no dishes. Breakfast of champions, of kings. Kings eat in a castle. You open up the plastic, you keep them in the plastic, you put them on the plate, you pop open a micro. 3, 2, 1, ready, baby! And breakfast is served. Oh my God, don't tell me Vincent didn't leave me any ketchup. He's got 2 types of mustard, sriracha, salad dressings, and no ketchup? I give him a Rolls Royce and I don't even get a bottle of ketchup. What the hell is this? Sugar-free ketchup? All you need is a dab. It's a small burger. Oh my God, I ate too much. Breakfast is now served. This one got a little messed up, but it's all right. That's good. It's hot out here. This boat is always on a different level. The tide's up, the boat's up. The tide's down, the boat's down. Why he's tied so far away from the dock, I don't know. I got a cuckoo captain. I gotta climb up this step thing here. The boat doesn't even get dirty. I'm here by myself. There's nothing to get dirty. But I'll go in, I'll empty some trash cans, I'll get my dirty clothes. People leave waters all the time. Nobody knows. You wash the boat with it. There. Just wash the boat. First thing, that trash is empty. Just came in the kitchen. I gotta go down to my room and empty the trash can. If I go down like sideways, it doesn't hurt my feet as much. Laundry's gotta get done. You smoke here? I'm not telling. Shit, this is the heaviest fucking garbage can I've ever seen. Why would they make a garbage can so fucking heavy out of ceramic? Makes no sense. I think I get another day out of it. I was in the army. I could do all this stuff. Take this, take that. I'm not making no goddamn bed. That's too much work. She can do that. Check out this room. Nobody's been in here. Look at that. Perfect master suite. This boat's got 2 masters. When I dirty that one, if I want, I can just come stay in this one. Close the door. You know why you close the door in a boat? Keep the room cold. AC. Every room has its own AC unit. I should see if there's any trash upstairs. It's like a 3-story house. People come on your yacht. They leave glasses around. Captain's a pig. His table should be pushed in. I gotta switch hands. I'm a righty. This is stupid. You know, he should have a better way for me to get on and off the boat. If I bust my ass, I'm gonna sue him. Guess where the laundry area is? Right here. Done. I did my work for today. The person sweeping is...